Hello there. How's everyone doing? Nice to see you all. Say hello in the chat so I know who's here. We're having a rebrand of the channel. We are now Simpsonspoint. Can you see it? And as you can see, my bairns want Disney Plus, so they're going to get it. Oh, there's Dan Blackroyd in the chat already. How are we doing? We've got a few things to talk about tonight. Dan Blackroyd, do you like the shirt? Pretty iconic, huh? Aye, exactly. This is the place to come for your your Disney Plus updates. I do subscribe, so like, how else are my Waynes supposed to watch The Simpsons? It's it's a lot of money getting a hold of all those DVD box sets, you know, and the DVD player for that matter. Oofed, extortionate. Anyways, we have a few things to talk about. Make sure you're greeting each other in chat. It's always good to see. And as Purist says, force choke that like button. That'd be awesome. Anyhow, we first of all have a public service announcement. No one's heard from Darth Paws in like 2 to 3 days. All right, so basically, like, all the content from his channels disappeared, and I don't know if maybe like he told his mum to bounce or something, and she grounded him, and then they've nuked his channel. So I don't know what's going on there. Like, joke aside, hope he's all right. Get in touch, you wee mad lad. Dark greetings from Nasal Servant Arc. Dude, I saw that you just finished Vector Prime. That's awesome. I thought it would take you a little bit longer. So yeah, I see that. I thought it would have taken you a bit longer than that. I guess not everyone reads as slow as me. So I'm looking forward to your stream, and I definitely want to get you on here to talk about it because, as you know, a lot of us have been kind of promoting the New Jedi Order and trying to get a lot more interest in it. And there's obviously HoloNet's documentary. I've only watched the first 2 episodes because I don't want it to get spoiled for me. So, but it's full of loads of really good like interviews and stuff with the authors. He actually did a few himself as well. Hey, there's Batusi, the Manslayer. Good to see you, man. I'm doing okay, actually. Yeah. Cheers, Nasal. Honestly, I want to get you on here too. It's just trying to coordinate what I'm wanting to do on the streams and stuff like that. Oh, we've got 8 in chat. That's cool. I hope everyone's doing okay. And if you've heard, like I say, if you've heard from Darth Paws, let me know because I'm a wee bit concerned about him. But I definitely think he's just been grounded. Purist is lurking, working, and editing. Yeah, so we'll call out Purist's stream right now. He's going live in about 5 hours or something like that, and he's going to be releasing Star Wars Normie Episode 2, and that's going to be amazing. It's going to be a lot of fun. All good, man. Batusi says, me too, finished my first read through Heir to the Empire. Oh, nice, man. That's awesome. Today I begin with Dark Force Rising. Dark Force Rising is my favorite in that trilogy. I really enjoy that book. It's the intro to that book, without any spoilers. It's really sets like a darker tone, and it feels like a sequel, if you know what I mean. A lot of editing. Purist, like when when it comes to making videos, I think editing's the funnest part, but it definitely takes the most amount of time. And especially if you're trying to get videos out relatively quick. Like, I don't necessarily want to just pump out videos, but if it's something stupid you've been working on, sometimes it's just meant for a laugh, but it takes forever, you know. Oh, Narrow Dark's in chat. Good to see you, man. I've been liking some of your posts on on X. Oh, Little Porg's in chat. Good to see you. Little Porg, we're having a Simpsons special. because we subscribe to Disney Plus so that you can watch Disney Plus Simpsons. All right, you're the reason. You're the reason I'm in trouble. And at some point, we're going to need to get Dan Blackroyd on here to prove that he owns the DVDs. Because there's no way he owns all. There's like, can you tell me, Lil Pork, how many seasons of Simpsons are there? There's definitely more than like 20, surely. The truth always comes out eventually. That's right, Dan Blackroyd. As if you haven't seen Star Wars on it. Aye, we used to watch Star Wars on it. 33 seasons. Oh, he might be in trouble. And Dan Blackroyd, I don't want to hear any references past season 10. If I hear you reference a Simpsons episode after season 10, I'll know for a fact that you've been watching Disney Plus, all right? Purist says Blake's got the D Plus Elite package. That's what is that one of those baskets that they send out to you? Here, I missed what Batusi said. One of the angles that I liked the most was the political tension within the New Republic. The space battle was well described and felt the action was, which is great. Oh yeah, at the end when they take what is it they do? They imprison Admiral Akbar, don't they? Yeah, the New Republic, the council members in the New Republic, they're not exactly the smartest people, are they? Narrow Dark says, have you seen Darth Paw's channel? All his content is gone. Yeah, I was just talking about that. I don't know what's up. It's a bit weird. Oh, there's Tony in chat. Robot Chicken Star Wars special versus Family Guy Star Wars special. To be fair, I remember watching the Blue Harvest Star Wars one, like the Family Guy, the first one. The other two aren't as funny, but Blue Harvest was a good laugh. But yeah, I don't know what's up with Darth Paw's channel. Like I saw that all his content was gone, and then I typed it into search on YouTube. Pardon me, and there's this account that always turns up in the replies. He's like a Star Wars theory fan, right? And he posted this short, and he's basically said on it that he says everyone got together and forced Pause to delete his channel. So I don't know what that's in reference to, but I really doubt that this dude and some theory fans got Pause to get rid of his content. There's no way. And the dude had he has like another short, and on it it's like this picture of Theory holding this lightsaber, and it's got a photo of my channel, Purist's channel, and Pause's channel, and he says that we're shills that always attack Theory. Yeah, who's everyone exactly? But yeah, it's weird. It's that narrative that anyone that criticizes Star Wars theory is a shill. But I just think, like, if you looked at any of our channels, it's pretty obvious that we're not fans of Disney. But do you know who is a fan of Disney and got Disney access? Star Wars Theory. Yes, I shill for the EU. I wish I could get freebies from the EU, even like old ones, old torn up ones. Source books is what I want. I just want source books. It'd be really good for research for history of videos and stuff. Yes, Decrepit's in chat. I know he's probably at work, but it's always good to see him in chat. I need to get you on here as well at some point, Decrepit. I know the timing's probably rubbish, but I did stay up till like 4 or 5 in the morning for your 50th subscriber stream, so you owe me one. I'll guilt trip you into coming on. Wrong, actually. Sick at home. Oh, dude, that sucks. Oh yeah, Lil Porg, we're obviously going to do one. I've been planning a stream for next week with a dude that I met via Instagram before I had a YouTube channel. His name's Ezra's Junkyard, and basically I found his channel because he's like obsessed with the Phantom Menace video game, which is what I grew up playing. You know, like get ready, KOTOR. KOTOR's nothing. The Phantom Menace game is where it's at. It's the only one that's canon anyway. So feeling a lot better, but I'm still coughing up. Oh, dude, that sucks. I was going to say there's something going around, but we're in different countries. Like I had, I had kind of like a flu a couple weeks back, and I was off work for like 3 or 4 days. It was rough. But I hope get some whiskey in you. That'll help it. But I'm planning a stream with this dude next week. I've already scripted it out and stuff. We're just going to have a wee chat about the game. He does like he completed the game in like 3 hours on a live stream. But he plays it that often. It's like, I just noticed your name is Simpsonspoint. We're rebranding the channel for anyone that didn't see it. We've been exposed. We got exposed last stream for being Disney shills, so we're just going to feed into it. Knights of Undercover says, I missed the last 2 streams because of work and I'm home now. What's up, Scran? Oh, dude, you'll need to go back and catch them. It was a good laugh. I got exposed last stream, and then the one before we actually had OG Star Wars and Darth Pause on before his channel got nuked, apparently. Batusi the Manslayer says, hey Scran, what do you understand by balance of the Force? Based in Lucas's comments on it, including the latest one in Star Wars Archives where he talks about the wills, how put all together. I'm not sure what the quote is in the archives. Oh, the Paul Duncan archives. Yeah, my understanding of I bet you've seen me do this before because I always look stupid when I do it. My understanding of balancing the Force is that the light side is the balance, so as straight as I can get it there, and then dark side causes imbalance. So like the light side is the balance, and I think that's pretty much what George was saying in that quote. It's one of those things that he's obviously developed over time, and people like to go back to like the 80s and quote him. You know, absence of dark side is balance. Exactly. Yeah, purist. Like I always overcomplicate it. You know, I'm like George Lucas. I'm a visual guy. I like to see it, which is weird because I don't only like Star Wars that's on screen, like some of these other channels. But yeah, purists, we're shills because we criticize Star Wars theory. Narrow dark side, light side is the balance, and dark side is imbalance. Yes, correct. Batusi, what's your understanding of it? I forgot to ask. Decrepit said, oh yeah, I don't think he got taken down. He's just taken all his content off his channel because he told his parents to bounce and he got grounded. Or he was getting made fun of at school for being a Star Wars fan. That's probably what happened. We were trying to debunk that last time. I guess we were wrong. Oh, there's Gabriel Knight. Good to see you, dude. Celebrity in the chat. Absolute legend. Legend. But yeah. I hope Pause is alright. He's a funny wee dude. I like him. Good to see you, man. Right, let's see. Have you noticed that, like, oh, we'll get into what Batusi's saying first. I get that the Force life has, oh dude, I'm rubbish at this. A natural duality of light and dark, life and death, the cycle of life. Sith specifically destroy that balance by causing conflict and death and thus altering the cycle of life. The living force, which is the food of the wills. Alright. Off work early. I'll get back to that in a second, Batusi. I'm just thinking about it. Gabriel says, off work early and listening on the drive home. Oh, yes. That's my favourite time to listen to streams. I usually do it while I'm at work, but driving home doing it. It's usually calf chat I'll be listening to on the way home. Stopped watching Cobra Kai after season 4. Oh, is that what Knights of Undercover was talking about? I actually really like that show. I watched it up until just before the latest season, and then I've just no bothered getting back to it. There's too much cool stuff I want to watch. I'm trying to binge Babylon 5, and I've been working my way through the. Here, I'll show you. They're pretty cool. Pardon me. This is how me and Mrs. Scran have been watching the old Star Trek movies. Let's see. So there's. Oh no, that's. She's put them in the wrong order. Lil Porg, you put them in the wrong order. There it is. There's the motion picture. Awesome. And then my personal favourite, The Wrath of Khan, which I will be making a video on. I'll maybe wait a few weeks before I do the video because the channel's slowly turning into like a Star Trek channel and or Simpsons channel, but whatever. You did put them in the wrong order. You had The Search for Spock and The Voyage Home. The nerve. We were sitting there the other day and I was like, what order would you put these movies in, like in terms of your favourite? And it took her a while to work it out. Generally, I'm leaning towards Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, the motion picture. What's the sixth one? It's hard. Like 5 and 6 are hard to. I'd say Undiscovered Country, Final Frontier, and then The Voyage Home with the whales. No, I don't remember the order you said because you kept getting confused, didn't you? I don't even think you can remember. But I do say microscopic animals, which is interesting because when the Force is a conscience, then the Force is a conscience, but not a moral conscience, like let's say Tolkien, God Eru, which is like there's a lot going on there. I'm not going to be the best person to answer that for you. I just understand the concept that dark side causes imbalance because that's kind of like the point, isn't it? It's kind of like metaphorical for like morality, like having good morals. You want to be a good person. The dark side embodies all the things that all those kind of qualities that you don't want. So I try not to look into it too much. I think the cool thing about Star Wars is it almost is black and white. It's like good versus evil. There isn't really much room for that grey area in between that people seem to like so much. There's a cool clip. I'll maybe post it on the channel. There's Darth Shotter. Good to see you, dude. Purist says, I'm a Star Trek normie. Maybe I should make some Star Trek Wikipedia vids. I will. I'm out here making like history of videos for Star Trek movies in the original show. It's like, but I try not to be too condescending with it because I know like I am a normie as well, although I like it. No, I didn't. I didn't do that one yet. But like I did the one for the motion picture. Over like 300 people like watched it. It was weird. I didn't expect anyone to watch that video. Yeah, I think George took some elements from Lord of the Rings. It doesn't really get talked about that much. Hey there, got busy, but here I am. Nice to see you, OG Star Wars. Always a pleasure. Happy to have you here. Purist says, just say you're a super fan and then you are, even if you know little about the actual universe. Well, it's like now we're Simpsons scran, right? So my chat, like I just know Simpsons better than anyone. Oh, we've got a guest in the chat. Hey, Let's bring him on in. Hello, sir.
Hi, I'm here for the Disney Plus updates.
Wait, this sounds like Melvin. Who's this?
No, this is not Melvin.
What the... How are you doing?
It's Duffman. Duffman. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I was hoping you'd. I like your What's the one? It's like Homer's Moo Moo. Is that your onesie or whatever?
Oh yeah, that's for winter. That's
That's...
that's my big what do they call them? Hoodies or some shit?
Oh
Like
yeah,
the
like an hoodie, yeah.
the big jumper thing. That thing gets fucking hot.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Well, you are in Australia, I suppose. Oh, folk are saying
Yeah.
hello to Blake in the chat. I was showing my wife the clip from the spacing where you're like exposing me, and then she's
Exposed.
like, "I thought he
Exposed
was
times
black."
two.
She was like, "I thought he was black." I was like, "No."
Just what I want them to think.
Exactly. But aye. So Blake was telling me that he's got 10 seasons of The Simpsons, and I don't know if you think once Disney got it, they decanonized all that stuff. Oh, there they are.
Well, this is 9 of them.
Aye, because you get those ones that are like their faces, right?
Yeah, I got like 2 of those. I think I got like because I've got doubles of season 7 for some reason, and I think I've got that one for season 9. But I need to get the. I really just wanted to have the first 10 of
Yeah,
the old school
I was
DVD
about
box sets.
yeah, I was about to say. I bet that bothers you that you've got like one missing.
Yeah, it does. I'm a completionist, so yeah, it does bother me.
My brother's like that because he'll collect them, and then if he's got one missing, it'll just bug his autism till he gets it. You know.
Yeah, the same. Like I've uh I've got a couple that I just it's almost impossible to find of shows like specific seasons and stuff from like way back in the day in specific
Yeah, yeah.
formats. Like, you can find like the DVDs and everything where they collect them all, but like getting like specific like these box sets as well, because sometimes they went to the thin style where it was just the case,
Oh right, yeah.
but having like the hard box,
Uh-huh.
it's just something special about it, especially those old school ones like The Simpsons.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I always say, like the golden era is like season 4 till 8. Like that's when it was really good.
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure my favorite episode's in season 8.
Yeah. Which one's that?
Hank Scorpio.
Is that me that's buffering? Right, I think we're back. What did you say, sorry?
Oh no, sorry, I was just looking it up. It's
Oh right,
yeah,
sorry.
you only moved twice. It's I think second episode. Yeah, second episode of the 8th season.
Right, okay.
Like
We
season 8, like truly great. It's the episode with this guy Hank Scorpio, where Homer has the boss who's basically a Bond villain, and he moves them to the town, and
Oh
they all
yeah,
live
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, and Marge like becomes like an alcoholic almost.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know what it was like in Australia, but like I remember when I was growing up, it would always be Channel 4, and it was 6 p.m. every night. Simpsons would come on, and
Hmm.
we had like our TV had like a VHS player in it, and you could record off of it. So we used to like get tapes, and then every time Simpsons would come on, we'd record like another episode. We had like our own box sets, pretty much. It was cool.
Yeah, back in the day, that
You,
was
you,
basically my movie collection was just recorded off the TV. But
I
the
like I
we
because my
had
dad would do that. You'd get like
yeah,
I
it's
think
just
because Return of the Jedi. That's how we used to watch that, and you'd have
yeah,
like you'd obviously like paused it before the commercials come up, and like you just
Oh
catch
yeah.
it.
I got lazy for that after a while. I just let it play with the commercials and everything. And then,
Yeah.
like I don't think I even have a working VHS player now, but like if I could go back and it's almost like adds to the nostalgia now seeing all those ads and stuff with it.
Oh, definitely. And like
But
some stuff I'll watch and it's like it doesn't feel right. Like the audio's too clean and it's like the
yeah,
picture's not all fuzzy, you know?
yeah, just those old memories. And especially like some of those movies are a lot different with the TV cuts. But I specifically remember like yeah, like you said 6 p.m. It was the same for us, just I think it was on Channel 10 when I was growing up.
All right.
6 p.m. Simpsons, and then usually it was half. Usually they do like sometimes they do 2 episodes. They do like the rerun, and then I think it
Yeah.
was Saturdays maybe. Then after that they'd play the new episode of the week.
Yeah,
But
that's
then
right.
weekdays it was Simpsons and then Seinfeld. That was the hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on Channel 10 it was every night of the week. It was fucking unreal.
Oh, that sounds good. Like that was some weird like uh soap opera that would come on afterwards. Some English soap opera. No interested.
No, we got about, especially in that era, it was roughly about 50-50 Australian TV and international TV. Like there
Right?
was a mandate, so yeah, it had to be a certain amount of hours on the TV was Australian made television. And
Oh,
then
okay.
that once reality TV came into play, that all went out the window because they could just call anything Australian. You know, like the reality TV took up so many hours of the day that Australian TV just turned into reality TV. But back in the day, yeah, it was like Seinfeld and Simpsons when they started. That was it was just a whole wave of new comedy because we did get a lot of the British comedy in Australia.
Okay.
Like, yeah, so having like really good American comedies as well because before that they were a bit too uh, you know, uh, touchy feely, a bit too, everything has to have a moral, everything has to have a happy ending and a good story, which,
Right,
a
yeah.
lot of the Simpsons episodes did do that, but Seinfeld and Simpsons were kind of the first ones that I saw that had more of a harder edge to them.
Right, yeah. I Lil Porg's a big Seinfeld fan as well. It
Yeah,
was
well,
fu-
I think if you grew up sort of in that era, like,
mm,
you can't really avoid it. And they were like Simpsons and Seinfeld, they were iconic TV shows, and they just happened to like sort of run at the same time.
yeah, yeah. No, because like growing up, like I've got three brothers and a sister, but like a lot of our humor just comes from like movies, just quoting movies. But like I got married to an American, and like half of what I say is like Simpsons quotations, and she didn't grow up watching it. So I go over there to meet them, and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
But so I got her into it. She's obsessed with it. So
Yeah, that's good. It's always good to have a common ground.
oh yeah. But I just assumed Americans grew up watching Simpsons. Surely.
I'd think so, yeah. Like, but it's one of those things where it was it was such a big export. Like it was there. It was almost just American culture getting exported around the world in a distilled half an hour yellow package.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, because I don't know how old you are, but if you grew up in like the early nine, like late 80s, early 90s, and through the 90s as well, the like people talk about, like how big, like I don't know, like Bluey or like Minecraft and these sort of things are like
Yeah.
worldwide with like kids and everything. Like Bart Simpson was a cultural phenomenon in himself. Like
Uh-huh.
within the show, like it was the Bart Simpson show for the first like however many years, and then it slowly became Homer's show. But
Aye,
those
sure.
early years, like Bart Simpson was, you couldn't go anywhere in maybe like in Australia like without seeing some sort of Bart Simpson merchandise somewhere.
Hmm. Aye, sure. Aye, it was similar here. I mean, I was born in '95, so I missed it a wee bit,
Yeah,
but
well, yeah, he was
it
sort of
was
like just the sort of
everywhere.
the tail end of the Bart years where he was, yeah, like eat my shorts and everything else. But yeah, then it became the Homer show, and it took a real different turn in those sort of those years.
Like most of my early years, I have vivid memories simply because of like the Phantom Menace, like merchandise and stuff. So like I've got memories of
Star
being like
Wars, the Star Wars, start of
just
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Ah, he was a genius. He called it Episode 1, and you just wanted more.
Yeah, leave him wanting more, and then he just sold it. He's like, Disney can finish it.
Ah, exactly. But I know last time we were talking about William Wallace. Uh, I was going to say we could talk about Australians William Wallace, but I guess he already is Australian. Like he stole our our hero.
Well, yeah,
But I was
I was going to say
talking
Ned
about
Kelly. I was going to say Ned Kelly, but I think most of the early Australian like sort of bush rangers and stuff were mostly born in other countries anyway, like
all right, okay.
Scotland or Ireland or England, and they came here. But um, yeah, it all interchanges when you talk about like like especially Americans. Like you always see like half of the time the amount of Americans that don't know Christian Bale
Yeah,
is is British. That's
yeah, right.
pretty mind-boggling. But then like the same with like Hugh Jackman, like or back in the day Heath Ledger. Like
Uh-huh.
we just get assumed we're each other, so we all get used to it. We're all Scottish or Irish or English or Australian or New Zealand. It just all
Yeah,
melds into one after a while to other people.
I think not to harp on Americans, but I think sometimes they think like that's all there is, like America, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's I was making fun of people a couple of weeks ago on the spacing because I was like the stuff with the Sonic box office, and there's like the Sonic #1 worldwide, and everyone was coming in as like Sonic beat Mufasa domestically. I'm like, yeah, well, the world exists outside of America, but people sometimes struggle to understand that concept.
Yes, little poor Christian Bale is not American. He's like Welsh or something like that.
I think he's Welsh, yeah, but it's just like people like Hugh Jackman, for years. Like I'd watch people like talking about his movies and stuff, and then like halfway through they realize, oh, is he Australian? And then like they'd go into like I had no idea because like he's just always predominantly playing Americans when he's in a movie.
Hmm.
And if they nail the accent, then you know no one really because they usually do the same American accent through for most of their American roles, and half the time I don't think anyone really picks up that it's put on.
Yeah, I mean, someone that does a pretty bad American accent, I'd say, is Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, well, the
He
thing
doesn't.
is, most of them,
Well,
if they can't nail the American accent, they'll do Southern. They'll always play a
sure. Yeah.
Southern like see, to Ewan McGregor almost always plays a Southern like a guy from the they call it the Deep South, even though
Yeah. Yeah.
like Australia, come on, really, Australia's a lot further south. But the yeah, like that's one of the I usually think that's one of the giveaways if they can't do a normal, I think it's called like the Mid-Atlantic accent, they'll do Southern, and
Okay. Okay.
they'll sort of really dive into it.
Am I just referring to Moulin Rouge? No, he has his own accent in that movie. He's very Scottish in that movie. Stuff like,
Yeah, because I like Big Fish. Have you seen Big Fish?
oh, I love Big Fish, but
Yeah.
it's not a good American accent.
No, but that's the perfect example, I think. Like he
Uh,
they
the
go into
one
that southern drawl.
Yeah, the worst one's probably the Men that Stare at Goats. I like that movie as well, but
Yeah, or fuck, what's Black Hawk Down, where it's almost all British actors with American accents, and they all have varying degrees of success doing it.
hmm what is there any sort? Obviously, there's big Australian movies, but what's like the kind of top ones? Like, because here people will say, "Oh, Train Spotting," or um, actually one that's not a Scottish movie that people like here is So I Married an Axe Murderer, just because they like the dad. Uh,
SATURDAY, Nates.
aye, that's pretty well received here.
Yeah. Head, move, no.
Like an orange on a toothpick.
Yeah. He's gonna cry himself to sleep on his giant pillow.
Because like the ignorant part of me just thinks of Crocodile Dundee, you know, and
Yeah,
that's
well, I
another
mean,
one my dad loved growing when I was
that
growing
for
up.
I think the nearly 20 something years, that was Australia's biggest movie ever. Like not just domestically, but internationally performing as well. But it held the record as the biggest Australian um, movie and international movie that played in Australia
All right.
for
Oh, of course you've got Mad Max as well. Yeah, sure.
yeah, Mad Max. Well, I mean, but Mad Max was even in Australia when it like came out and stuff. Mad Max was a lot more niche than Crocodile Dundee.
Oh yeah.
It
Had
like
the
it didn't
first one.
even yeah, the first one especially. It didn't really become successful in America until the second one, which they called The Road Warrior, because they didn't even want to call it Mad Max 2 because they thought in America no one had seen Mad Max 1. So they were
Right.
just
Yeah.
like, we'll call the second one Road Warrior. But yeah, Crocodile Dundee, I mean, Chopper with Eric Bana, um,
hmm
uh, The Castle. That's a comedy that it's pretty iconic. It's not as well known internationally as the movies like Chopper and Crocodile Dundee and stuff, but The Castle is probably one of Australia's most popular and iconic movies.
All right. Okay.
But like
Actually, I
Australia
think.
had a huge film industry, like way back in the like Australia's film industry is nearly on par with the American film industry for like most of the 70s and into the 80s. It's just
Aye.
um, too many of our too many of our regulations changed and everything, and we lost sort of like half the industry that way. That's a long story, and that was all stuff before I was born.
Yeah.
Um, but they mainly like just talent, just we lost all the talent to Hollywood sort of thing. Like like Mel
Oh
Gibson,
sure. Yeah.
like the actors and the directors, like a lot of them went over there, and the industry here suffered for large maybe like really through the 90s and 2000s, and then it's nowhere near what it was now. But yeah, like
hmm
the Australian film industry in the 70s, a lot of big movies and directors like uh blanking on his name, fuck, Peter Weir. He did The Truman Show, Master and Commander.
All right. Okay. I
Yeah,
didn't realize he did both of those. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, like a lot of Australian filmmakers went over there. Like oh fuck. Oh, now I'm really blanking on his name, but yeah, a lot of the movies in the 90s um were directed by like action movies and stuff in America, like took a lot of the Australian talent pool. So through the 90s, the film industry here suffered a lot, but it just never recovered to the extent. But I'll look up his name. Yeah, Philip Noyce.
Okay.
Philip Noyce. He directed Clear and Present Danger and Patriot Games with Harrison Ford.
Okay.
Yeah, he's another Australian. He was like, it's sort of like all the big directors in Australia, like they went over to Hollywood for their prime, and it was kind of detrimental. And you see it now, like all our actors now predominantly work in Hollywood because that's where the work is. Like they just
Yeah.
go over there and You know, it's the same with the British actors. They work a little bit cheaper up front, like when they're getting there to sort of build a name, and then they get a reputation that they sort of they're not necessarily harder workers or better workers, but they're different types of workers to the typical American actors.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the a lot of the Scottish actors and stuff, they end up down down south to like London and stuff like that. That's where they all kind of
Well,
congregate.
yeah, yeah, it'd be like a we sort of see it similar here. Like a lot of New Zealand actors will come over to Australia because
Right, okay.
it's a slightly different industry. Like, you know, there's probably more TV work and less film work than in New Zealand because
Aye.
it's mostly built around, or it was for a long time built around one sort of franchise in New Zealand with Lord of the Rings. But yeah, it's similar here. So
Oh,
like the
right, yeah.
Scottish actors probably go to London and then try and, you know, break it there and then break it over to America. It's like a sort of stepping stone thing, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's similar here. And, you know, you see it like I see it all the time. Like the just random people, Australian actors that are, you know, really sort of, you know, well known here will pop up in America in just like weird random roles, and you're like, oh, that's where that person's been for like the last 10 years or so.
There's a lot of them. What's that? My gran used to watch this Australian soap opera called Neighbours.
Yeah, a lot of yeah, Neighbours actors.
A
Yeah,
bunch of
like
them.
them, like they'll disappear off Neighbours or Home and Away, and then
That's it.
like
That's the other one.
10 years later, you're like Thor, and you're like, oh, that's where that dude was. I wondered where he went.
Oh, I forgot about that show. Aye, she used to watch that.
Oh yeah, I grew up. I've seen so many episodes of Neighbours growing up. It's ridiculous. The whole fucking so like multiple eras. Because like I'd watch like randomly because like my family would watch it. Like I'd see people who just disappear off the show, like entire families, and like where's like this whole street, like an entire like street, just like
Aye, they don't have a
move,
storyline
like
for them.
everyone in the house, everyone in each house just like randomly moved like one summer and all got replaced. Yeah, it was weird like that.
And it's like total trash TV as well, but they're designed to like suck you in with
Oh
like
yeah, it was just
just debaucherous storylines.
yeah, it was just made for volume.
Aye, exactly. We've got an opportunity to cross over here because one of my favorite Simpsons episode is the Australian one where they come to Australia.
Yeah, that was a big one here.
And what is it? That's where you've got like the toilets flushing the opposite way, and what is it? Bart like prank calls someone, and then they have to
Yeah,
get
well,
it's the big boot, and they want to kick his butt with the boot.
yeah, I
That's a
think
good one.
he reverse charges
That
the
was it.
call.
Yeah, yeah.
So like it gets charged to that guy, and because he had to, the kid had to, he goes, go and ask your neighbors, and because he called someone like in the outback, so the kid like pedals for like a day to his neighbor's house to ask, and then comes
He's
back.
like, oh, I don't care about that anymore.
Yeah, so the bill's like through the roof. But yeah, that was you know, it was kind of like there's always that every now and then there's like a weird Hollywood or American fascination with Australia where they'll do like an Australian themed thing, you know, and there's other like they do it with other stuff, other countries and everything as well, but they
Mhm.
always seem to like come back to do like I think like even Modern Family, like all these shows they'll do like an Australian episode, like an Australian adventure sort of thing, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's the Simpsons one was kind of not well received. Like Hart was like a bit 50-50. People like sort of thought it was an insult and like, you know,
Yeah, I can see that.
I got the joke and everything, but there was a few people that sort of got their nose out of joint about that one, but you know, fuck the Simpsons, they rarely miss, especially those years.
Chuck that throwing stick of yours.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of a lot of it was just ridiculous. Like there was,
When he climbs into the kangaroo.
yeah, there was, but even like the the stuff that you'd think was normal was just like completely off, like Foster's and everything. Like just it was all like the stereotypes that were wrong,
Yeah.
and like that's where people sort of got up in arms. But it was, like they're not gonna like fly a team out here to do. Oh, we need to do thorough research for our Simpsons episode that we're going to be doing. It's just throw it at the wall and whatever sticks.
Aye. I mean, I don't remember a specific. There's obviously like British episodes, but there's always Groundskeeper Willie, so that's kind of like what
Yeah,
we get.
playing
And then
basketball.
I saw is it more recent ones, and they've got like Lisa trying to like teach him how to speak properly and stuff. So
Oh,
like
how
I
did you
think
feel about that?
I I don't know. It's kind of like when they like erase
Speak
like.
properly.
Well, that's like what you say. Space
Yeah, well,
talk.
you speak space language. Like when I come in, I'll come into the stream, and you're talking Star Wars stuff, and I'm just like, is this English? Like, are these like Scottish words, like slang
It's like
words, or is this like Star Wars lore? Is this what's the difference?
it's like so in Star Wars it's basic. So what you need is those like yellow subtitles underneath
Mm.
for Scottishese.
Yeah, well, Scott, no, it's very specifically for when Scottish people are talking Star Wars.
Oh, okay, it's a specific thing then.
Star Wars, it's Star Wars terminology with Scottish accent. It
Right, I've got
becomes undecipherable.
it.
No, but on The Simpsons, my favorites, like I never really, besides the Hank Scorpio one, I never really had a definitive favorite um, episode because for me, the what I always got into with The Simpsons was the holiday specials, and it's specifically the Treehouse of Horror. Like
Yes, those are brilliant. Yeah, it's like an
because I
opportunity for you
never,
to do anything. Yeah.
yeah, because I never, because in Australia we don't have a big Halloween culture, so that
Mhm.
was always my chance to experience Halloween, like
Yeah.
sort of through that. And I always remember like because I think it started from like season 2 onwards. They were like appointment TV. Like that was I had to be in front of the TV when the the Treehouse of Horror specials came on each year
Oh yeah.
because it was like yeah, you didn't know what you were gonna get, and they were always good.
They were good. There was a handful that like they still scare me to this day. It's the one with the haunted house, and then there's the one. It's like Edgar
Mm.
Allan Poe's Raven, and
The
Bart's
Raven
like the
one.
Raven.
That's probably my favorite of all of them.
Yeah. I don't find them scary, but there's like a weird like eeriness to it that I've carried with me from being a kid. Like I can't sit through it. It just makes me feel really uneasy.
Yeah, that and the one where like Kang and Kodos are it's about the cooking humans,
Oh yeah.
and then they return them. That's another one of my favorite ones. And then you've got where the Skinner and the other teachers are eating the kids at
Oh,
school.
that's a good one. Aye.
But yeah, I
And
mean, there's
then
so many great ones. Like Burns as Dracula.
uh-huh. Oh yeah.
I
And
mean,
then you've
yeah,
got Snake's hair. He dies and his hair comes back. That's a
yeah.
good one. And Homer gets the hair. Aye, that's it.
Oh, fuck. It's I a lot of people will say it's fallen off. I say I stopped watching sort of regularly probably after season 14, 15-ish.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think
think
I think
I
around
think the
that
first
time
12 are great.
I think around that time's when like Family Guy got really big, and they were almost trying to like compete with them. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of humor.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
think
I
just
think.
I think they were just tired of Family Guy stealing all their jokes
Yeah,
10
I
years
mean,
later.
Family Guy were obviously stealing from them, but then it kind of seemed like they were having to like up the ante a little bit to try and compete with it.
Yeah, well, I
It,
mean,
it
with
didn't.
everything, like they after the movie, the Simpsons movie,
Mhm.
the whole production sort of scale changed, like because the episode started to look more like the movie. Like they added the
Yeah,
shading, shadows, everything. Like there was 3D camera movements within it. Like the
yeah,
the show became a lot more complex than what it used to be, and I think that took away from the writing and the original creativity of the show, which was the cleverness of it,
yeah,
and
sure.
just became like replaced with the glitz and glamour of it. But those 12 seasons, I think, will still be unrivaled in anything television animation.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Have you heard the theory that like forget Star Wars theory, this is Simpsons theory. Uh, is it the episode where Bart like shakes the soda can and it blows up?
Mm.
That's apparently
For
there's a
Homer,
theory that's when like the Simpsons ended.
Homer dies.
He either dies or he's like in a coma. So everything that happened because apparently the show actually gets a little more bizarre
It
after
gets more
that. Like
ridiculous after, yeah, like
yeah, less
that's
realistic.
where it's sort of the more fantastical elements start to come into play. I
Yeah,
think because I think that was before like Homer jumps the gorge and like there was
yeah, aye.
more like ridiculous shit escalating, and that's when it kind of became more the Homer show as well. Like I think from that sort of time period onward, that's when it made that shift towards Homer, which was you know probably easier to keep it going in one time period to have it more revolve around Homer than the kids because then you're constantly asking like well, why aren't the kids getting older? But
Yeah,
if it's kind of like more following Homer, then you get a you lose a bit of you lose a bit of that need to justify that constantly. But yeah, fuck, Homer
yeah,
was like Homer's done everything. Like if you want to talk about like a TV character that's like done everything, like Homer's like literally he's gone to space.
uh
He's fought for the heavyweight top boxing title. He's jumped to Springfield Gorge. He's
huh.
saved Springfield like countless times. Like in the movie, like with the dome, he like rides the bike, like throws
Oh
the
yeah,
bomb.
yeah.
Like
It
Homer has done everything.
it gets to the point where like Marge is like my least favorite character because she's like jealous of him, like she's jealous of his com- accomplishments and stuff like that, and I'm just like,
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Like Marge is, she has like you have to have that character. She's like the moral compass to sort of bring Homer back down. Like like especially in the movie, like Marge sort of she stops Homer from sort of turning that corner and becoming like a completely unlikable character in that movie. She brings him back from the brink.
yeah, sure,
But I was that way about Lisa when I was growing up. I always thought that Lisa was so fucking annoying. I was just like less Lisa episodes, more Bart episodes, more Homer, more even like the side characters. I was like more Mr. Burns because I love Mr. Burns.
yeah,
And
Mr.
like
Burns.
weirdly, I love Ned Flanders. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why. Like
He's
I
got some
think
really good
he's
moments. Yeah,
yeah, in real life I'd probably slap him in the face, but um in the show, I love Ned Flanders. And what they did to Ned Flanders, like killing Maud, like that was brutal.
oh yeah,
Like like for like a kids like a kids cartoon, like they didn't really pull any punches. Like the Bleeding Gums Murphy episode, and
mm-hmm.
then like just killing
That's
off
an early
Maud
one.
like that. That was they had a lot of grown up stuff to it.
I like Principal Skinner's probably one of the best characters.
Skinner's awesome, especially those episodes where you learn more about his backstory and
Yeah,
like he's the like the everyone thinks he's this Vietnam like war hero and everything, but it turns out
he like stole the identity.
he stole his identity and everything, and fuck, it was Skinner was that perfect. opportunity to do those old Vietnam stereotypes. Like I used to love those scenes where he's in the office with Bart and he turns to the blinds and he opens the blinds and he's looking out and he like has those war flashbacks. I used to fucking love those scenes.
Brilliant. Right, let's see what. I saw someone talking about Nessie earlier. The
Oh
thing
yeah,
is,
Scotland's biggest celebrity.
oh, nah, I already caught Nessie, Soul Assassin. Already caught him. I had,
All right,
I'm
yeah.
surprised how much we've talked about Simpsons, to be honest with you.
Oh, but you can go on forever. Like I'll give you like what's your favorite episode, and I'll tell you another one of mine. The baseball episode where there's the isotopes and they bring in all the major league baseball talent and they have
Oh, yeah.
they make the theme song for it. We're talking Homer, Ozzy and the Straw. Like that was another one of the greatest things about The Simpsons. Like the music. Like do you ever have those CDs where they do the collections of all the songs, like songs in the key of Springfield and all
Oh, I
these
did. I
other
have
ones?
seen those. I've never had. I
Yeah.
think
Oh,
my
they're
brother has
great.
one.
You can download them like I think pretty easy. I'll find them on YouTube and stuff.
The
All those songs, they're
what's
well
the
worth it.
one? Mr. Plow. That's my
Yeah,
name. That name again
yeah.
is Mr.
It's
Plow.
like yeah, they do like collection of all the jingles and everything from the show, and then sometimes they'll do the like when they do the Flaming Moes, they did the remake of the Cheers theme song. They like the CD. Like there was another just awesome part of the show is like if you were just a fan of like music, like little like jingles and stuff, the show had like nearly one all-time classic one every week.
I pretty
Yeah, see
much.
my vest, Mr. Burns, where he's got the wants to get the Greyhound puppies. Like the music in The Simpsons, I don't think people give it enough credit for years later.
Yeah,
How clever it was, the monorail song. Like, and I think a lot of that was
that's a
Conan
good one.
O'Brien because like he was
Yeah,
one of the big writers on the show, and then his show as well, his late night show had a lot of musical stuff to it. So I think Conan was a big part of that musical element to those earlier years of The Simpsons.
mono means one, and rail means rail.
Yeah. Oh, Phil Hartman, like the guest stars,
Oh, sure, yeah.
like like Phil Hartman's probably my all-time favorite guest star, but also Albert Brooks, who plays Hank Scorpio in the Avatar here, and also plays I can't remember his name. Russ, I think it's something Myers, or maybe Russ Cargill. I think it might be Russ Cargill. Uh, in the movie, the EPA guy.
Oh,
Like
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, I recognize the voice.
yeah. He plays multiple characters in the show, like Phil Hartman did, and like so many people did. But the guest characters, just the random like Frank Grimes. Remember
Oh,
Grimes? And he Homer killed. He kills him. He gets killed
oh, yeah,
because he's
that's
so
right.
pissed off at Homer because Homer just like
Aye,
lucks backwards into everything, and the Grimes is this like upstanding dude and ends up like dying.
trying to catch a break. Yeah.
Yeah, like there was so many like just brutal shit, and Homer just always skates through it. Like it's like I can never praise Simpsons enough. Those early years, it was an amalgamation of everything I loved, like musical stuff, animation, comedy, references to old movies and everything, like pop culture. It had everything.
Mhm. Yeah, Soul Assassin. Troy McClure's a good one. Who is
Yeah,
it that
Troy
voices
McClure.
Sideshow Bob? He's another favorite of mine. Sideshow
Yeah,
Bob.
Kelsey Grammer
Kelsey Grammer. It's like
from
because some
Frasier.
people, yeah, some actors like play themselves, and other actors have like specific characters that they always
Yeah, well,
cameo as.
William Wallace, like Mel Gibson played himself on The Simpsons.
Oh, I forgot about that episode. And he's trying to
Yeah,
make
the
Homer's
movie.
helping him make another movie.
Yeah. Some of those were the best ones where they got celebrities to essentially parody themselves to appear on the show. But
Yeah.
that was a fucking great one.
One of my other favorite episodes, the one where Homer's drunk and he's running through the woods and he comes across Mr. Burns and he's
As
like an alien.
and the X-Files crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I think because
That used to
that's
scare me as
that.
well. That one.
Yeah, well, that's I think because I was talking about before the songs in the key of Springfield CD. That was actually like a play off the CD that they released about the music on the show X-Files, which was songs in the key of X.
All right,
Like they
okay.
did, they did a CD which was, it was mostly like theme songs and scores and stuff from the X-Files show. But then yeah, that was another big massive thing in the 90s. Like, oh, the Simpsons and the X-Files are going to cross over, and it like there's going to be like an alien conspiracy episode of the Simpsons.
Yeah.
And it always comes down to Mr. Burns. Like it's all like the who shot Mr. Burns, the
Yeah.
X-Files alien conspiracy, Mr. Burns. Like Mr. Burns is just a fucking menace.
Little Porg wants me to say the line. I'm going to take my camera off so I don't look like an idiot. Wait, what is it he says? I bring you love.
I bring
I
you
bring you
peace.
peace.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
The best part about that episode is the like how they get to that conclusion. So like every like night or every week or wherever it was, Mr. Burns goes through this like weird like
Yeah.
machine where he gets like stretched out and like put in different place, and then he gets injected with this like radioactive glowing shit. But then one day he just wandered off and like he's just through the forest as he's saying, like it's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. And the best, that's one of the best jokes in Simpsons history, in my opinion, in that episode, where
Which part?
where they've got Homer hooked up to the lie detector, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
explain everything to him, and they go, "Do you understand?" And he goes, "Yes," and the machine just
Blows
blows
up,
up.
yeah.
That's to me, that is what the Simpsons is all about. Like that joke right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, groundskeeper Willie's a
Oh, yeah.
fucking
Kill it!
a
Kill it!
savage in his own right. Like grease me. Do you remember the grease me up woman scene? And then he's like he was the most ripped human being in animation, and he'd just be doing all this weird shit.
Well,
But yeah,
there's him.
crawling through the vents. The Die Hard reference was great.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's what I mean. Like there's. I do it all the time. I'll see like a clip and I'm like, fuck, I forgot that. I forgot that was on The Simpsons. There's so many moments you just can't keep track of them all.
What time am I on here? Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, enough of that. Having too much fun talking about Simpsons. I was going to talk about some EBN stuff, but they're
Oh,
fence riding, they're shills, it's whatever. We all know.
Yeah. And my sources tell me they are not Simpsons fans.
Oh, really?
That's the biggest crime. No, I don't. I fucking have no idea.
Well, he's got Disney Plus. He can watch all of it.
Yeah,
His kids can watch it.
the Mermaid Simpsons. Probably. I think Mark Hamill's been on The Simpsons, surely.
Yeah. That was the one where it's like guys and dolls, and he's is it Homer's getting choked out, and he's like, use the forks.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, look, use your lightsaber. And he's
See,
like,
I mean,
what? And break it? Like, George Lucas makes me pay for these things.
like how ahead of its time was The Simpsons? Like they made Star Wars references before Star Wars even came out in '99. Like they were like The Simpsons was so ahead of its time, it's ridiculous. Like they
I
literally saw
always
the
talk
future.
about it like predicting things, right?
Yeah.
They
Star
predicted
Wars.
the existence of Star Wars.
and Luke Skywalker. They named the character and gave him a lightsaber.
They named a character from Star Wars fan fiction.
They created the Force. The Simpsons created the Force, so George Lucas should really he should pay them some money. I think everyone's been on The Simpsons at one stage. Like, if you're a big star in the 90s, you were on The Simpsons.
Yeah, yeah. That's if I not that I want to be a celebrity, but that would at one point that would have been like the high point.
Yeah,
Made
yeah,
The
well, yeah, you
Simpsons.
like that was a big badge on about like you know you've made it if you get referenced on The Simpsons. Now it's if you get referenced on TikTok or some shit.
I think they're actually. I think they're stopping. I think they're stopping after this season that they're making. This is like their last one.
It's probably a good thing that it stops. I mean, I don't think it's going to do any favors if The Simpsons just keeps going on for like,
Yeah.
45, 50 years. That doesn't do anything any good. Like, but The Simpsons has been on for my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Like
But
that's scary. Pretty
it's
much
like
my entire
anything.
life.
That is a bit bizarre. It is like anything though. Like there's all that old stuff's still there. You can binge it. You can have. So I'll have it on in the background. It's awesome.
Yeah, and but like, it's a prime suspect to be altered on streaming servers and stuff, The Simpsons. Like, so
Oh
if
really?
you can get
Oh sure.
physical
Yeah.
copies of the old episodes, like I do suggest it because you never know what's around the corner with digital content.
That's true. There's even is it the Simpsons movie and Bart's talking about like Disney being an evil corporation and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny that they own that and it's in there. But
yeah.
it's
However,
true. They could start removing things at any point.
yeah, the Simpsons take a lot of shots. They even took a lot of shots at Fox, like when Fox
Yeah.
owned like they'd take a lot of shots at that, at Rupert Murdoch, all sorts of stuff. But that movie was the big turning point. That was a lot of things in The Simpsons changed after that, and you could kind of like put a little time capsule, just Simpsons up until the movie, and then
Yeah, that
you
makes
don't
sense.
really need to worry about watching too much after that. There's still good episodes, like, but I think really the last episode of The Simpsons I watched was the Studio Ghibli or the Hayao Miyazaki the one with the tribute scene in it,
Oh,
where
I don't think
Homer's like there in Japan, and it's like it all sort of like turns into a Studio Ghibli movie in front of him.
I don't
It's
think I've
only
seen
like
that one.
it's only like one scene, but I think it was like 6 seasons ago now anyway. So it's like I've barely kept in touch with a lot of it, and why would you like they don't do themselves any favors where the actors come out and you know essentially cancel their roles and dickheads who have nothing to do with the show come out and say, oh, Apu is an offensive character. No, it's like just fuck off.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
literally let an animated show be an animated show in its own world.
Hmm.
But you can't have anything these days that doesn't have to go through a fine lens or a filter of thousand eyes that need to all agree on it.
It's when they go back and start canceling things for some like it's a different it's a different time,
Yeah.
things were
Well,
things
it's
were
just
said.
censoring for censoring's sake to make the present or the future, you know, pat itself on the back and it's like, no, just uh let things be what they were, and then you'll learn a bit more when you do look back on them. Like it won't
Yeah,
just be,
exactly.
oh, it was the same then as it is now. No, it's the same then as it is now because you made it the same.
And some of the things it's weird because they don't because I'm a Disney Plus subscriber.
Yes, number one.
Some of the things they'll say like there's things in this movie that aren't okay, but we just want to make you aware of it type of thing. Like if they're that. hell bent on it being wrong. They shouldn't be showing it in the first place. But it's an old cartoon where they can, get money off of showing it. It's
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
what.
that's to me, and then you'd want nothing, but to me, that's the least offensive of any of the steps they've taken. Like putting a
Yeah,
warning in front, I can deal with. It's like a 5 second thing I've got to read. But when they start going in and cutting and altering,
yeah. It's
that's
it's
when
more
like there's serious problems.
it's more of like what's the word for it? Like they have a problem with it, but not enough to get rid of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the hypocrisy of making money off things that, you know, morally you've said that aren't, jiving with the modern company of in this case Disney, but there's a lot of other things that don't jive with the what Disney's about that they'll happily take money from. But there's hypocrisy across the board when it comes to entertainment in Hollywood.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite cartoons growing up was the Peter Pan cartoon. And then I'm like showing it to my wife. I'm like, oh, this is nostalgic. And then the red faced Indians come in, and I'm like, oh.
I mean, I don't, you know, that'd look a lot worse in live action.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like, I don't have a problem with a lot of that stuff in old animation because you are taking artistic license for a lot of things. Like, you go back, like, white people don't exactly look like Elmer Fudd. Does Elmer Fudd look like a regular white dude? No. But it's like you're taking artistic license with a lot of these things. So yeah, a lot of that stuff I don't have a problem with, but
That's a good point.
I can see why they don't they don't want they don't want people looking back on that and saying, "Oh, that's right."
Or the one, is it what's it called? The Aristocats. And you've got like, that cat pretending to be a Chinese cat.
Yeah, the Siamese cats. I mean, because you technically you don't even call them Siamese anymore because fucking Siam doesn't exist. So like if they just keep changing the names of countries, do we just keep going back into movies and changing things
Changing
in
it,
that
yeah.
respect? No, but like it's all yeah, like old Disney was wild. Some of the like um, I've talked about this before, but like um, some of the people that I learned to animate from were old Disney people. Um, there was one specifically who used to work in the Australian part of Disney here. He was the did well, he was the lead background animator, so he did all the backgrounds, all the um, environments, all the settings and everything.
Okay.
For most of uh, a lot of the TV shows from the 90s and a lot of the sequel movies because they were the direct to video ones, they were made in Australia.
Okay.
Um, and like even in at that point, there's famous stories of like what the animators used to hide and put in like frames and stuff in
Yeah, I've
in the
seen some
old
of
Disney
that.
movies. Even like the 90s ones, there's some weird shit. Like he's like, I used to just draw like random shit in the background, see if anyone would notice.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you this because I'm not gonna you can find them yourselves, but I'm not gonna spoil any like major ones. But if you ever watch The Return of Jafar,
Hmm.
like the Aladdin sequel, if you look in the background of the palace, all the patterns are actually the Sydney Opera House. Like there's this pattern that goes along the back wall, and it just looks like it was supposed to just be like random sort of like points, like
Yeah.
almost like a flower, like the stem of a flower going up to a petal. But he made it all so they're all shaped like the Opera House outline.
That's
And he's
cool.
just like, it's just little things like that I hid in there, like Disney, because Disney'd be like, no, don't take that out. Like we don't have the trademark for the Opera House, but we
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
do any of this stuff. Like the lawyers would just have it. Like if you just hide it in there, don't tell anyone about it. Like there's a lot of stuff in random Disney movies that you can look at it and go, that's deliberately put there just to like sort of for someone else to look at and go, oh, I see what you
Yeah,
did there.
little Easter egg kind of things. It's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. decrepit. You missed
Yeah, like
you missed the Simpsons lore. We went through Simpsons lore. I
yeah,
don't
a
think
lot of the Simpsons lore.
I don't think I've talked about Simpsons that much my entire life. Feels good.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, at least 20 years. Because I mean, I was of that era where I had a lot of. I'd talk about a lot of this stuff at school or like with my friends, like at the beach or whatever. Like the what happens in like the Simpsons episodes that week or stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a good 20 years since I've had a dedicated Simpsons discussion, I think.
Hey, beats ripping on Fence Riders for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I to me, Star Wars is one movie, so if
Well,
anyone
it
else,
is.
yeah,
There's only so
if
much you can
anyone
talk
else,
about.
yeah, if anyone else disagrees with that, then I think you're all wrong. You're all breaking George Lucas's lore and canon.
Fake fans.
Yeah, like everyone in this chat right now, you're breaking George Lucas lore and canon by not just agreeing that it's just one movie. It's the Phantom Menace. Like that's what George intended. That's why he called it Episode One because there's just one.
Star Wars 1, the one and only. Hey, George has always said the film. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think you're
the
right.
film.
Send me that source when you find it. Let's see.
I can start a new civil war, a new faction of it. There's the Disney Star Wars, and then there's the old um original trilogy ones, and there's the prequel trilogy one, and I'll just be the staunch loyalist of the Phantom Menacists, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just the one saga. There is the one movie, one saga principle. It's like there's the rule of two for the Sith. There's the rule of one for the movies.
The rule of episode 1.
The rule of one, yeah, the rule of episode one. Um, like Star
Uh,
Wars, like no, not many people think, but a lot of Star Wars is really just about gambling on pod racing. Like that's the majority of the Star
that's like
Wars
half
universe.
of Star Wars is a pod race. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like it's teaching kids to gamble. It's teaching kids about political backstabbing. Like George knew what he was doing. He was like the people that need this. Like they're at an age where they need to know these things. So public service. Like thank you, George.
Thank you, George, because that movie, the whole premise of like Qui-Gon Jinn walking around Tatooine, he's trading stuff to get what he wants. That's a good skill to have.
Yeah, yeah. He's freeing slaves.
And we can only imagine like what will happen next. Like that's probably what Anakin said. He'll go back and save
Well,
everyone.
that's
So
that's where they put that scene in there with the senator at the end. So he's like,
he's going to watch
"Well,
his
yeah,
career.
what's
Yeah,
your career with most interest?" And it's like, yeah, you like that's a little nod to the audience. Like, yeah, there's could be more here, but we're not going to show you that.
yeah. That dude's a really nice guy. Actually, I hope he becomes like the
He
senator.
seems nice. I mean, he seemed nice in the movie. Um, he just, I don't know. I think. Do you think he looked a little bit like that guy with the hood? But I'm a bit worried about that. There was the
Nah,
guy with
because
the hood that was talking to Darth Maul. I'm
yeah,
a
but
little worried.
he wasn't wearing a hood though, so it's kind of like Clark Kent with his spectacles.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, good.
Like
Yeah, guess yeah.
like right now,
Palpatine doesn't have a hood. Palpatine doesn't have a hood, and that guy had a hood. So yeah, that's
yeah,
obviously.
kind of like right now, I'm Simpsons Scran, and then when I do this, I'm Star Wars Scran. You know,
Yeah, that's right.
hard to tell the difference. But yeah, if you've got the fandom that's simply purist of the Phantom Menace, I guess EBN could add that to his list. He's got like some people just like the movies, some people like toys, some people like books. Well, real George Lucas purists only watched Phantom Menace because he had complete creative control of that movie.
Book, you mean?
The book? Well,
The book. It's not books. There's a book.
the book. Aye, well, there's the one book that
The one
he
book.
based the movie on.
The one book. The one movie. The one toy. George Lucas made one toy for the Phantom Menace. It was a life-size Jar Jar model, and it sold extremely well. And that's how he made all his money. It was one book, one movie, one toy. No lightsabers. There was no lightsabers ever made. Anyone who makes a lightsaber and claiming it's a Star Wars official merchandise is just making Chinese knockoffs. It's not real. No, the Jar Jar, it was not a blow-up doll.
Yeah, I don't know about that decrepit.
It was fully solid to prevent sick people like you from doing anything to it. We don't want blow-up Jar Jars, no.
No, we do not.
We want to blow up Boss Nass. That's what we want.
No comment.
No, you can do that.
Well, that's how the movie. Well, that's not how the. No, he doesn't do that at the end of the movie, does he?
Yeah.
Fake Star Wars fan.
Boss Nass. That's like the only thing I remember of that character doing is that weird, like neck shake thing he did.
I'm sure he's the. Is he not the guy that plays Gimli in Lord of the Rings? He's like a Scottish actor.
No, I don't think so. It's I think it's Brian Blessed. I think it's the dude from Flash Gordon.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Fake fan. I do not know the history of the lore or the franchise.
We went over this. I think we went over this on the commentary track for Star Wars.
Aye, that's right. I watched that one. That was good.
We did one on. If you're out there, we did one on the United Spaces Alliance channel for Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, the entire saga. We did the commentary track for it, and it was good. I had a lot of fun. We did you could line it up, do the picture in picture or like the split screen, have one-on-one and go from there. And like from the start, like, you know, I've got a bad feeling about this all the way up to the glowing energy ball. The entire Star Wars saga is encapsulated perfectly.
Yeah, in like an hour and a bit, Star Wars was told, and
2 hours, isn't it?
the rest is history. Phantom Menace is 2 hours long.
Is it? Feels like it.
I don't know. That's a long pod race.
Like the pod race is like 12 minutes, isn't it? 14 minutes, something like that.
Is that all it is? It feels longer. I think they're just on Tatooine for that.
Like, yeah, they're on Tatooine a lot longer than. But I think like the race itself is about 12 to 14 minutes, maybe.
Oh right, that makes more sense. That's crazy.
Maybe, I don't know.
I was actually.
It's a long sequence.
Yeah, it's cool. It is cool. Like I was watching quite a bit of the behind the scenes the other day about it, and like you take that stuff for granted, like that the amount of like practical effects tied in with the CGI that. Like you see him stamping all the storyboards, and like John Knowles is like, we don't have a good way to make that work. We don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah, like breaking it down. Like, yeah, we can do that. This element of the scene, we can do that. We can do that. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Question mark. How the fuck are we gonna do that?
And they did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
just pushed them beyond their limits.
Back then, you put a problem in front of ILM. Like that, and they could solve pretty much anything. I mean, it'd take time and probably a lot of money, but they could get it done. But that's, to me, that's why it is, like, you know, I joke all the time that it's the only Star Wars movie, but it's to me, that's why it's the perfect one, because it has the perfect balance of practical and CGI.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go like, granted, like, I'll be the first one to say that George coming to Australia and making 2 and 3 episodes, 2 and 3 in Australia. It did a lot for the Australian filmmaking community and everything, giving people work and getting sort of the industry kickstarted a little bit again. But that and the Matrix movies. But
Mm.
the overuse, like there's like because you watch the behind the scenes and the difference in the first one and the second one. The
Yeah,
second and
blue
third
screen,
one,
right?
they're just on green stages with just nothing but green everywhere with like little platforms and everything. The first one, there's physical things. Like even go back and watch like the unaltered version of Phantom Menace, and they use the Yoda puppet. But then
Yes.
in the later editions, they just CGI over that puppet Yoda in the Phantom Menace in the
Yeah.
re-release, and it's just like
Yeah. A lot of
it
like
doesn't look good.
a lot of practical sets, like thousands of costumes they made,
Yeah.
and just kind of like a collaboration of loads of like artistic people. Like it was cool.
Hmm.
I think he was obviously trying to push, like trying to make movie making easier, but the movies probably suffered a bit because of that because it wasn't
Well,
quite there yet.
yeah, but you also got to think about he kind of painted himself into a corner doing that because how long did it take between when they started making Phantom Menace and when they finished making Phantom Menace,
Mm.
and then double that with just going to into Attack of the Clones and then Revenge of the Sith. Like they had what 2 or 3 years between those, so it's like
Yeah.
you've almost halved your production timeline to get the same amount of things done. I think the necessity was they had to go digital for a lot of it because they couldn't physically build and you know move and store and like physically have everything they need if they had to do it all physically because then you're talking about the logistics of packing up set pieces and storing them somewhere and then coming back out to build them if they need them at like the drop of a hat and everything.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he just got into the luxury of the famous line is we'll fix it in post, but
Mm-hmm.
that becomes further and further away, like the goalposts. Then you get to the post production, and you're like, oh shit, we've literally got to make like an entire movie again now. And
Yeah.
then that's where a lot of problems came. But that first movie, like the strive to have the mix of physical and computer generated images was I think one of the most perfect blends. I think like Jurassic Park, another one. Like there's other movies
Sure.
that
Yeah.
that nail it as well, but like there's like the Phantom Menace. I think people shit on it for unfair reasons. It doesn't get the credit it deserves for like the filmmaking degree of it.
Definitely holds up the best out of those three.
Visually, I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's stuff in Revenge of the Sith that's really fucking cool, like the whole Mustafar sequence at the end, but you
Yeah.
can
Like a
tell
lot.
that you can tell they're not there. You can tell they're just going through the motions on like a little green platform that, and then everything else is put in around them. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can easily tell. I think there's a bit more realness to the Phantom Menace,
Agreed.
especially that fight with the Duel of the Fates. Like you feel like they're on a platform, like they're in this hallway, like you even though they're not there, you feel like those energy barriers are there.
Aye.
Like they get to that, like it feels it's a real place. Like a lot of it doesn't feel real in like the other Star Wars movies. Like the start of the fight in Revenge of the Sith does, but then when they move outside, it all becomes just digital bits on the screen.
Mm-hmm. And like you've always got that sort of like glare on them. There's like a greenish
Yeah,
kind of
the
glow.
Halo. It's
Yeah.
the yeah. Well, there was still that problem where they couldn't figure out. Well, it was the whole industry. They hadn't really figured out how to get backlighting because that was the biggest problem where you couldn't separate the person from the background with the green screens. They always looked flat. Is because they never
Yes.
had enough backlighting. and one of the ways they tried to do it was just blast them with light, but it sort of it gave this weird haloing effect that is like really prevalent in 2 and 3, I think.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah, it makes it obvious that
it's
it's a
a
fake
weird
badger.
yeah, it's a weird industry artifact that just it happened for a lot of the movies at that time. But the that's I mean, uh, Duel of the Fates still to me is one of the greatest scenes. Like
Oh, for sure.
the whole sequence, like splitting between the battles, like everywhere.
Hmm. Yeah, and it like splits between like the other scenes with like the space battle. You've got Padme and the troops. It's just like with the music as well. It's like just the way it's pieced together. Brilliant.
Yeah, too good. George made a masterpiece.
What Marcia Lucas didn't edit that one.
No, I didn't. No, she had nothing to do with that one. Bitch, she had her money, divorce money, and was gone by then.
I heard a story that she watched that movie and then she went out to her car and like cried because it was that terrible.
What does she care? I mean, it's like a lot of the YouTubers like revisionist history, and the big one over the last few years was Marsha Lucas, and you know, I have a hard time believing like I've said this about George. I have a hard time believing that any of these things come down to one single person. Even
Yeah,
George Lucas, like the dude, if he didn't have ILM, if he didn't have like that team of people helping him, he doesn't make that movie. He doesn't make that movie without Marsha Lucas. She doesn't make that movie without George Lucas. Like nobody in Hollywood makes a movie by themselves.
yeah, oh, for sure. Part of George's greatness was being able to get these specific people together and like get the best out of them, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, if you can't, that's like the like people usually say like if you nail the casting, you're 80% of the way to getting the movie done. Like
Mm,
if you can get the cast, you've got an on-screen like like something that's going to work, like the chemistry and everything.
yeah,
If you're a filmmaker, if you've got the right crew and the right like elements, then you could like with ILM, George could essentially get anything done because he had the right pieces with ILM and
yeah,
everyone else that worked. Like it wasn't just ILM, it was other aspects of Lucasfilm and everything. But he like it's just this weird notion that you know it was all George or it was all anyone in Hollywood. It's ridiculous.
yeah, agreed.
The only person that comes remotely close over the last 30 years is Robert Rodriguez, because he was for most of his movies literally writing, uh, sh- shooting it on camera, editing it, doing the post production work, the music. Like he was like literally like a one man band for a while. But in saying that, he had crews and other people that were hell. You can't just stand there as one person on a set and do it all. You need hands. Like
Oh yeah,
he but as a creator, he was one of the closest that's ever been to a one man movie, a one man filmmaker that you know makes big budget Hollywood movies, like Sin City, for example.
hmm,
Like you go through and
oh
look at
yeah,
the like that's one of my favorite comic book movies, Sin City. That doesn't I don't think it gets enough credit these days, but a comic book movie that it almost just lifts the page onto the screen.
yeah. It definitely has that kind of aesthetic to it. I think Elijah Wood's character is pretty creepy in that movie.
Yeah, well they're all creepy. I
Yeah.
mean, like everyone in or nearly every single person in Sin City is a fucking creepy individual. And like if you watch the extended cuts, where they um break them up into four individual stories and almost like they have all credits like but after
Oh,
each
really? I didn't
segment.
know that existed.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's like they dive into some of the other things a bit deeper, and there's a lot of real creepy shit that a lot of those characters do. Like Kevin, Elijah Wood's character Kevin, like specifically, he's fucked.
Oh, I think we triggered OG with Marsha Lucas. She says she cried because it was edited better than what she could have done. So
Yeah,
OG,
well,
Alora is exclaiming that the Phantom Menace is better than A New Hope. Okay,
everyone
didn't
is. I
expect that.
mean, I'm one a day. I convert one person a day. That's my strike rate. I'm getting 7 a week, one a day, and we're moving into the new generation. It's like you get one new Disney Plus subscriber a day. You convert one new person. Today we've got probably at least a couple to go and subscribe to watch The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we're doing our part for Disney. We are doing our and Thunderbolts. Let's talk about Thunderbolts. If
Yeah.
anyone isn't excited for Thunderbolts, you should be. Are you
Are
excited
you
for Thunderbolts?
are you genuinely excited for it?
Have you seen the trailer?
No, that's the one. It's like it's kind of like an Avengers kind of thing, right? Like different
It's big.
different
It's going to be
members.
bigger than Avengers. It's going to be better than Avengers. It's going to be
Aye.
Endgame 2.0. It's going to be at least uh, $7 billion film.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I've honestly tapped out at Marvel. I can't tell if you're like taking the Mickey or no.
The Thunderbolts is going to be great. I don't understand why people aren't aren't believing me when I say this. Thunderbolts is going to be great.
The turn is Disney turning a corner.
There's no corner needed to turn. Marvel's
Oh,
been
how do you vex?
consistently great for 15 years. There's been some ups and downs, but they've always gotten back on track eventually.
That's why Disney Star Wars is so bad. They've been putting all their focus on making Marvel so good.
Would you fuck us? Don't swear at me like that.
Wait, who's
Oh,
swore?
focus. I thought you said fuck us. But you said focus.
Focus. That's the
Focus.
space link. It's the space.
It's a space Star Wars language again.
The space speak.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it looks good.
All right, okay. I'll need to check out the
It's.
trailer.
I mean, I'm from the background where I I was a fan of the MCU,
Yeah.
like
Oh
through
yeah.
till. I mean, I mean, through till Endgame, but there was ups and downs before that. But like, I don't think it's as far gone as Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah, there's possibilities that it doesn't all end bad for Marvel, but that's a long way away. It depends how those are, you know, because they're the big warning signs is those the two Avengers movies that are coming up. Like
Okay.
that's the litmus test. If they do anything, then
We're
there's
like
there's there's an end. There's an end in sight. But otherwise, I don't think there's much really on the horizon for movies really.
nah. Well, here we are. Like
Fantastic Four. Are you looking forward to Fantastic Four?
nah. I
No.
still like the
Superman?
nah.
No. Not much coming up besides Thunderbolts.
Well, here we are promoting Disney Plus and Hope Grifton. So
Yeah, well, no, I'm not. I'm not promoting Disney Plus, and I'm not hope drifting. I don't hope it's good. I'm telling you, it's gonna be good.
don't
Yeah.
hope it's good and just
No,
subscribe to Disney Plus. Just do it.
'cause I legitimately don't care if it's good or bad. I just think it's gonna be good.
Okay.
But I don't think there's much chance that Fantastic Four is going to be great.
Nah, I still like
Unfortunately.
the older ones. They're probably like I'm not a big comic book guy, but yeah,
Nah.
I like those movies.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Entertaining.
harmless. They were mild harm. Like they I don't think anyone can hate on those movies. Like they didn't do anything egregious besides the second one where they turned Galactus into a cloud. But I don't think they had the budget to really do Galactus how people would have not thought, hey, that why the fuck does that look so goofy? And B, I don't think the technology was even really there at the time
Yeah, a lot of
to
those
do
like
something that,
earlier,
yeah.
a lot of those earlier superhero movies, it's kind of like they can't quite go the extra mile because it makes me think of like the old 70s like Spider-Man movies. You ever seen those?
Yeah.
He's just like cutting a
Swing
bit
on a
like
swing set. He's
uh,
practicing on a swing set. He's just
it's there doesn't seem to be much stakes. It's just kind of like it kind of
it was a
what's the word?
novelty back then.
Yeah.
So it
Spider-Man
was
Strikes
almost
Back,
just
by the way, good movie.
oh yeah, and what was it the dragon?
Ah, yeah, yeah. What was that one called? We had both of them like, but you've got him like climbing. He's like sticking to the house, but it's just a projection on the ground, and he's
Mm.
crawling around. He's crawling around the floor.
They were
The soundtrack was awesome. The theme song.
yeah, they
That was so sick.
they were a tough
They
watch
had
even as a kid. Even as a kid, they were a tough watch. I'd like they would trick you, but I don't know if this is, but in Australia they'd trick you because they'd put on the cover of the videotape an animated Spider-Man. So
it
you'd think,
was
oh, this is the cartoon. And I'd take that home and it'd be that fucking live action version. And I'd be like, oh, I got tricked again into fucking hiring this piece of shit. But yeah, it was that and then the live action Captain America of the time.
oh,
Of
we
like
used to
the
watch
early
that.
90s, late 80s or something. Oh, that was that was an interesting one as well. That was it was like a mix of if Captain America was Evil Knievel.
I thought his costume was pretty cool in that
Oh
one.
yeah, it was cool. It was great for the time, but it was just like, what is this? Like like what comic book did they look at and go, yep, this is Captain America on the screen. This is the Captain America from the book. Like what issue did they go where this lines up? But that was that time where like the early 2000s, just getting a Fantastic Four movie, like a big-ish budget one on the screen was it seemed like a feat in itself.
Yeah, like I remember Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Like that was when I was growing up. That was like almost as big as like when the prequels were coming out. Like among my
Oh yeah.
friends and stuff like that.
Oh,
Like
um
merchandise and stuff like that
the
everywhere.
the build up for some of those movies was huge. Like T2, that was the first one I remember. Terminator
Oh
2.
yeah.
The build up for that movie was fucking was massive. They even had like specials on TV where like James Cameron was like telling you how like they were doing the effects and everything. I think it was ILM at the time. How they were doing the T1000 effects with like the bullet hole in the head and how it was
He goes through the
closing up
bars
and
and
everything.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like they were showing like demonstrations and it was like one of those Hollywood specials of like get excited for the movie kind of thing that they'd play on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Um, T2 was huge. Jurassic Park was massive, but the big ones I remember was the Phantom Menace was massive hype for that movie coming out, but
Yeah.
then also not just the first Matrix movie, because it was kind of like people didn't really understand what the marketing was, so it was kind of more a mix of hype and like bewilderment of like what is this movie?
Mm-hmm.
But the second Matrix
Oh,
movie,
Matrix
even
Reloaded.
though it was
Yeah.
shit, the
Well,
hype
the
for
thing
that.
There's
the
some
hype
cool
for that movie
scenes.
was fucking massive. Yeah,
There was
they had
posters
cool
like
scenes, but it's just like what, like who made the who made the first Matrix movie? Did you even watch that movie when you made 2 and 3? Like, what is happening in those movies? Like, no one knew what was going on until the third. Like, even the ending of the third movie, people were coming out and going, "I think I know what happened."
did he?
Like, I think,
Yeah.
I think, I think Neo's still alive somewhere. I think that Asian guy's like gonna help us. I don't understand what's going on, but yeah,
What did you see the newest one that they made?
yeah, I've seen. It's one of the greatest comedies ever made.
I,
It's
I
unintentional
hated it.
comedy off the charts. I can't even begin to explain how bizarre the fourth movie is. It's yeah, so he's
It's
like
like
a game developer and he
yeah, it's like so meta.
rewrite yeah, it's fucking bizarre, man. It's you kind of sit there watching it just in bewilderment going, what is this? And
Yeah,
then the new Agent Smith is
uh-huh. And then
that character in itself, I was just like going, I was just
they
what
replaced
what
Morpheus as well for no reason.
oh yeah, that was in itself beyond bizarre, but just the character of Agent Smith in this movie was wait what who are you? Like it's that weird attitude of like you've got to take a villain and then they're now like they're a sympathetic um, ally going forward.
Yeah,
It's like not
yeah.
everyone's Vegeta.
It's getting tiring, isn't it? It's the whole like subvert everything and make the villain like the good guy type of thing. It's
Yeah, but he was because he was like he's essentially fighting the Matrix itself, like
yeah,
Agent
he just
Smith.
wants free of the Matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, and the less said about the Neil Patrick Harris character, the better. I didn't even know what I didn't even know.
I won't bring it up again. You're all right.
No, it was, but that is unintentionally one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time because it had no idea what it was doing, and Keanu Reeves just looked confused through the whole thing. Like every scene he was in, he just looked confused, like
He's
just
like,
wandering
is
around.
this John Wick 5? Like, what is this?
He did. He looked like he'd stumbled off, like he'd just finished shooting some scenes in John Wick and stumbled off and was like, "Yeah, is this craft services?" He's like, can someone show me the way to my trailer?" But it was a fucking bizarre movie,
I
mate.
went I went with my brothers and I went with my dad and we're all like hyped for this movie and like my dad will watch anything like any action movie like he's happy and he came out and he was like that was terrible. He was like that was awful. It
It
takes a
was
lot.
it, I it was that's so sad to me that franchise because that first movie is so good
Oh yeah, you can
and
just
there's
watch that on its
been
own and it's
yeah well I do because I refuse to watch any of the sequels anymore. They no I mean people can like them and everything, but to me, they ruin the first movie completely. Everything after the first Matrix movie, except the Animatrix, ruins the movies.
Fabian of Many Interests says, what are these two on about? Keanu Reeves is overrated. Um, like I like his movies. I don't think he's like the best actor ever.
No, he has a niche, and he fills it pretty well. I mean, he like this iteration of Keanu Reeves is, I don't think, the best one. Like just the John Wick movies and like the Matrix one and stuff, but uh
Speed's where you need
not
to.
yeah 90s Keanu was fucking awesome with Speed into the first Matrix movie like Keanu was fucking awesome but you know he's not he's not the dude that's gonna win an Oscar. Keanu's the dude who's gonna get you know $80 million funding for your movie. Like he's a name actor who gets, who has box office draw. Like he's not a like a huge movie star, but he's as
Yeah.
close as you can get to a somewhat financial assurance that people are going to go see your movie. But I think I mean, he's had more comebacks than anyone else. Like like there was the original Keanu, like the Dude Bro, like Bill and Ted sort of
Bill and Ted.
Keanu and Parenthood and stuff, and then there was the more action oriented Keanu, and then there was like the rom com Keanu and everything.
Sure, yeah.
But like, yeah, he's had more lives than a cat. He just keeps coming back. Like you think Keanu's career's over, and he just comes back 5, 6 years later with something completely different.
Was it the day the Earth stood still? I remember that was one of them. They hadn't been in anything
Yeah,
for.
Klaatu or whatever he was. He was
Yeah.
that was yeah. I mean, like in that sort of same era, he did like really cool ones like Hardball and Constantine.
Mm.
Like he's just always just like if he has like a real shit movie or a couple in a row, he'll always bounce back with a banger almost immediately. I mean, there's few people like that. Like Tom Cruise was kind of like that for a while.
Yeah.
Um, like people think Tom Cruise is just this massive movie star since the 80s. Like Tom Cruise has had so many ups and downs. But it's the same with like, Bruce Willis, like he's like Stallone. Like a lot of these dudes, they have to rely on not just goodwill, but like you can't just live off your past work. You've got to come back and actually make something good every now and then too, which is,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's probably what Harrison Ford has failed at.
Hmm.
Like because you can do those bad movies and everything, but you've got to come back and make something that people want to go out and see. And
Yeah.
Harrison Ford hasn't made a movie like that in like 15, 20 years.
Yeah. He's still just Indiana Jones and Han Solo. It's like loads
Yeah,
of
I mean
flops.
it's almost literally his entire work for like the last 10 years.
You were talking about
Just
Tom
franchise
Cruise.
fill-ins.
What's that movie? Minority Report. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It's good. I like a lot of the things about the movie. I hate one scene or sequence in the movie. It's where Tom Cruise gets his eyes changed, gets his eyes
Yeah.
removed. I hate that sequence. I just find it so stupid. He's
What
stumbling
is?
around in that building, like, and there's
Oh
those
yeah,
robots that are
yeah.
like they're coming in and like they're scanning. It just to me that's like another one of those. All this is fake. There's nothing real about this scene, and yeah. But the movie's cool. The ending's weird.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
I
that was
didn't like.
Spielberg on his slide down, I think.
I didn't like Oblivion. I know a lot of people like that movie. I hated it.
Yeah, I've only seen it like once, and I thought it was really overrated. And people like a lot of people recommended it to me, and I was just like, no, no, this isn't good. This is just real. This is like a basic video game. This is like the tutorial level. And then all of a sudden you just magically jump towards the final, the end.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like that you play the tutorial and then you jump to the end scene of the game and you watch the final cinematic where you find out that there's more than one Tom. Like they all just start emerging. All these other fucking Toms just start emerging from the wilderness.
I
But
got
that's how it felt. That's how it felt to me. I was just like, this is just a video game story.
Did you ever have the video game to? I go on tangent. Sorry. Did you ever have the video game for the Fifth Element?
No,
That was
I don't
pretty.
think
That
so.
was pretty cool. But
No.
I got my wife to watch the Fifth Element, and then she's like the only person I know that really likes the Chris Tucker character in that movie. You know, he's just screaming the whole time.
Yeah.
And
Ruby
then
Rod. Ruby Rod's great.
and then that got her to watch Rush Hour with me. So Rush Hour 1 and 2, like The Business.
Yeah. Well, if you think he screams, if you think he screams a lot in Fifth Element, and he's allowed in that, then yeah, Rush Hour's a definite step up from that one. But yeah,
those are good movies.
Jackie Chan, like I
Oh
grew
yeah,
up
like
on
his.
Jackie Chan movies, and that to me was so out of left field. Like that first Rush Hour movie, I was like, because it got like all the trailers and everything I'd watch, and I'd be like, Jackie Chan's in a comedy. I don't know if that's gonna work. Like a an American comedy, because like he's there's a lot of funny stuff in his martial arts movies, but
Yeah, the drunken master kind of fighting style
yeah,
and stuff like that.
but I don't know if that like would translate to the American audience with like Chris Tucker telling like jokes and those sort of like racial stereotype sort of things. But fuck it,
Slow down, Chan.
that first one's fucking great. I haven't
I
seen this. I've seen them two and three, but I've seen the first one like 20 times. I've seen
yeah,
two and three maybe like once each.
I wasn't too fond of the third one, but the second one's really good. It's
I
funny.
really like the other one they did, Shanghai Nights and Shanghai
Yeah,
Noon with
Owen Wilson.
Owen
They're
Wilson.
good.
Yeah,
I forgot about those. Those are good as well.
yeah. I mean, Jackie
Lots of
Chan.
good stuff.
His '90s stuff is fucking like,
Well,
unmatched,
he
top tier.
apparently he's not. He doesn't really. Um, he's not a big fan of his like Americanized stuff. He prefers his Chinese movies. He thinks they're a
Well,
better
probably.
representation of like
Oh, they are.
yeah.
Like if you haven't seen I mean it's probably his last um the one that sort of really made him break into America was Rumble in the Bronx, where
Yeah.
he takes over a um a convenience store for his uncle in the Bronx, or he like goes and works with him, and he it's just it's crazy. It's one of those crazy ones, but I always remember this. There's a scene near the end, and he's on this like giant hovercraft, and he's like
Right.
going over like water and land and everything. It's just fucking it's crazy. But yeah, that one, Rumble in the Bronx, Jackie Chan's First Strike, which was filmed in Australia and is one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. That one, those two, and then you've got Armor of God 1 and 2. Two's actually Armor of God 2, Operation Condor is actually better than the first one, I think.
Okay.
It's if you like Indiana Jones, like it's essentially Jackie Chan as Indiana Jones finding Nazi treasure in the desert. Yeah, it's
That
fucking
does
great.
sound familiar. Like probably one I've seen with my dad years ago.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you grew up like sort of just watching random Jackie Chan movies, you may have seen. It's not his like most like well known or like one of his more popular ones, but to me it was one of his best. Like growing
Yeah.
up, I'd watch that one all the time. But yeah, he you know, it wasn't up there with like the Police Story or the Super Cops and you know, Project A and stuff, but it you know, fucking great movies. But those old kung fu ones, like
Oh yeah,
they're
yeah. Was it
if they were
Police
American
Story?
movies, some of the warnings that would be in front of those movies would be funny. Like some of the disclaimers.
The one I remember, like I like the movie now, but when I was a kid, I remember I was faking to be asleep, and my dad was watching Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee, and like the parts where like they're getting like killed when they're fighting each other and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I remember that making an impression. But at the start of that movie, you've got like Jackie Chan does Bruce Lee's stunts for him and stuff like that. You've got Jackie Chan
Mm.
doing all his flips, and it's quite cool.
Yeah, he's Jackie Chan's a weird dude. Like he's like an opera singer. Like he was a trained opera singer. Like
I,
trained
I didn't know that. I knew he did
yeah.
like albums.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's
Is
like
that true? He's an opera singer?
yeah, well, he trained as an opera singer. I
Oh,
don't like
right,
he
right,
doesn't
right.
like sing in front of operas and stuff, but he was trained as like an opera singer. He's like because those he's a product of those Chinese schools where they like teach them everything, like gymnastics, martial arts, like singing, dancing. Like it's almost like a bit of a slave school in a way, but it's a performing arts
Be good at
school where
something
yeah,
because
if
like,
you don't perform, you sort of maybe disappear. Um, yeah, it's like kind of one of those things. But yeah, like like the Simpsons, like Jackie Chan movies in the 90s were like my entertainment was like like little like a segment of a pie. It's like if you segmented it all off, like it would be nearly like 40% would be like Simpsons, Jackie Chan, Seinfeld.
yeah,
Like there was so much going on in the 90s that was just like purely 90s that I don't think kids today understand. Like there's current trends and everything, but there's the 80s and the 90s were so in themselves like different to what's now. I can't
yeah,
speak on the 70s or anything because I wasn't around. But from compared to like growing up in those eras to now, it's like a completely different world.
yeah. I think like I'm glad I had older siblings like to kind of introduce me to all that stuff. Like, it's good. Like, so if Thunderbolts isn't good, there's still all this old stuff we can watch. So,
Yeah,
anyways, dude, I'm supposed to be reading this chapter and it's getting
no
late.
worries.
But cheers for popping on and exposing me as a Disney show.
Happy to do it. Happy to do it. It's my job. I really feel like it's my duty as a viewer, as a person on YouTube, as an Australian to just point these things out.
Well, well, basically, if you're going to start quoting Simpsons later than season 10, then we'll know that you've got Disney Plus.
No, well, I have my
Yeah.
memory. I've seen up to season 15 like on
So
TV
after,
when I was a
right,
kid.
okay,
So
I'll keep my ears open for that then. But it's really cool to talk to you because I've been watching the spacing for a long time, well, a few years now. So
everyone should be watching the spacing
yeah, it's weird
regularly.
because it's kind of bizarre because like I had OG Star Wars on here a couple of weeks ago, and I do. It's like I'm used to kind of like just watching and listening, but like you're talking to these people, it's weird.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
cool.
no worries.
Cool,
Thanks
man.
for having
Well,
me on. Yeah,
yeah,
always happy to
anything.
talk about Simpsons or anything really. Just drop us a
Oh yeah.
line if you ever want to chat again.
Oh, nice one. Sounds good. Right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, man. Catch you later.
You too. See y'all.
Right. Well, there's Liquid Blake. Right. It is. Oh, sorry for ignoring chat. By the way, it's kind of difficult to do both. But cheers for everyone that's been here. I've got about half an hour, so I'll get started on this chapter because I promised I'd read it, and you're going to start thinking this is a Simpsons channel now. So we'll get into some Star Wars, all right? Some of this fan fiction, this licensed fan fiction. Um, but I'm going to disappear for 2 minutes, and I'll be right back. So if you've got to shoot off, that's all good. You can come back and get the replay. We're going to be reading chapter 9. Is it 9 or 8? Sorry. We're on chapter 9, Instinct, and you can grab your book and you can follow along if you can understand my space speak. All right, be right back. And we are back. Who have we still got in chat? Give us a hello and I'll speak to you for a couple of minutes before we get into this. And get rid of that. Bet you've never thought you'd hear so much Simpsons lore on a Star Wars channel. So in the last chapter, we finished off. Mace Windu finally came into contact with Della Belipa, his former Padawan. So, Dan Blackroyd was only here for the handsome Australian man. Well, he knows his stuff, and you know, to be fair, like, I'm a Disney subscriber, and he called me out. So, OG Star Wars says I will have to have Blake on for talking Phantom Menace. That, like, I'd watch that. Blake knows his Star Wars lore. Starts on the Trade Federation ship, ends with the glowing ball on Naboo. So his hair makes natives jealous. Yeah. Oh, it's like thick Highlander hair, you know. Part 2, Victory Conditions. And I'm a fake fan because I've titled this Instincts, plural. It's Instinct, so I need to change that. Running a little bit late on time just because I was having that much fun talking to Blake, so the entire saga, that's right. So I can read for the next half hour. There's like 9 pages, so we'll see how far I get. And I understand if you want to tap out because, you know, you can't understand my space speak, so. From the private journals of Mace Windu. I finally understand what I'm doing here, why I came. I understand the hypocrisy of that list of reasons I offered to Yoda and to Palpatine in the Chancellor's office those weeks ago. I was lying to them, and to myself. I must have seen the real reason I came here in the first instant I turned to her in the compound. In the pain-etched creases below her cheekbones, in the scar where the mark of enlightenment had been. Yes, it wasn't really her. It was a Force vision, a hallucination, a lie. But even a lie of the Force is more true than any reality our limited minds can comprehend. Oh, so it wasn't actually her? Okay. In the rag that bound her eyes, but did not blind in the rag that bound her eyes, but did not blind her to the truth of me, I found my condition of victory. I didn't come here to learn what has happened to Depa, nor to protect the reputation of our order. I don't care what's happened to her, and the reputation of our order is meaningless. I did not come to fight this war. I don't care who wins, because no one wins, not in real war. It is only a question of how much each side is willing to lose. I did not come here to apprehend or kill a rogue Jedi, or even to judge one. I cannot judge her. I have been on the periphery of this war for barely a double handful of days. And look what I am on the verge of becoming. She has been in the thick of it for months, drowning in darkness, buried in the jungle. I didn't come here to stop Depa. I came to save her. I will save her. And may the Force have mercy on any who would try to stop me, for I will have none. Wait, how did that start out? Oh, here's another journal entry. Cool. I don't remember leaving the compound. I suppose I must have been in some kind of shock. Not physical. My injuries are minor, though now the Bacta patches from our captured med packs are needed for more serious wounds, and the blaster burn on my thigh is angry and swelling with infection. But shock is the word. Mental shock, perhaps. Moral shock. A veil has fallen between the moment when Depa came to me in the compound and the moment I came back to myself on the slope below. There is my mind mostly a blurred haze. In that blurred haze, I find two conflicting memories of our meeting there, and both of them, it seems, are false. Dreams, imaginative reinterpretation of events, hallucination. In one memory, she extends a hand toward me, and I reach to take it, but instead I feel a tug at my vest, and her lightsaber leaps from its inner pocket and flips through the air to smack her palm. Blaster bolts from the gunship's laser cannons smash craters in the compound. Each bolt makes rocks and dirt explode like grenades. The air around us fills the red plasma and orange flame, and that old familiar half smile tugs up one corner of her lips, and she says, "Up or down?" And I tell her, "Up," and she leaps into an aerial roll over my head, and I take a single step forward so that she lands with her back against mine. And the feel of her back against my own, that strong and warm and living touch that I have felt so many times in so many places, pulls the dread from my heart and the darkness from my eyes, and our blades in perfect synchrony meet the fires from above and cast them back into the dawn-scorched sky. As I said, a dream. The other memory is a silent image of walking calmly at Depa's side through the rain of blaster fire, conversing with calm unconcern, as oblivious to the gunships as we are to the jungle, and to the sunlight of the dawn. In this dream of memory, Depa turns her blindfolded face toward me, her head cocked as though she can see into my heart. "Why have you come here, Mace? Do you even know?" I don't hear these words, again like a dream. It seems we merely intend our meaning and somehow make ourselves understood. "Why did you send for me?" is my answer. "It's not the same thing," she reminds me gently. "You have to define your conditions of victory. If you don't know what you're trying to do, how can you tell when you've done it? Why have you come? To stop me? You can do that with one slash of a lightsaber." "I suppose," I somehow reply, "I am trying to find out what has happened here. What is happening? To these people and to you. Once I understand what's going on, I'll know what I can do about it." "The only thing you don't understand," says the blind dream image of my beloved Padawan, "is that you already understand all there is to understand. You just don't want to believe it." Then the veil thickens and deepens toward night, and I remember no more until sometime later, not too much later, when I was running helter-skelter down through the jungle, quite alone, bounding down a long, long slope, half barren, with old lava where it wasn't burned with new. I could feel the gorillas somewhere ahead by the dark pall. Like smoke they trailed in the forest, and I could track them by the blood spoor their many wounded left on ground and rock and leaf. And I remember skidding down the rim of a dry wash and finding Carvaster waiting for me at the bottom. Carvaster. I have much to say of this Lord Pellic, of the powers I have seen him wield. For the drawing of the fever wasps out of beche and chalk, to the way the jungle itself seems to part for the passage and tangle itself behind. Of his followers, those 6 Karunai he calls the Atguards, men he's made into lesser echoes of himself. How he has trained them in their signature weapons, those terrifying vibro shields that he had designed and built. Even the smallest details, the primal ferocity of his gaze, the jungle noise growl of his wordless voice, and how you hear his meaning as though it were your own voice whispering inside your head, and all deserve more depth of comment than I can give them here. I'm not sure why it took me so long to understand that he and I are natural enemies. The Lord Pellic stood on the slope below Mace, holding the reins of a saddled grasser. The grasser kept one of its 3 eyes fixed warily on Vaster, and when he spoke, the grasser trembled as though it would shy away were it not held in place by an invisible force that overpowered its instincts. Jedi Windu, you are sent for Doshalo. Dos Halo. I don't know if this word's Dos Halo or Doshalo. We'll go with Doshalo. Mace did not need to ask by whom. Where is she? An hour's ride ahead, resting in her Hoda or Howdah. She no longer walks. Mace felt dizzy. The world shifted focus as though he looked at its reflection in a rippling pool. An hour no longer walks. It made no sense, but in the Force he felt like the truth. It felt like the truth. She was here. She was just here. No. But she was. She greeted me, and Mace passed a hand over his skull, checking for blood or swelling, searching for a head wound. I returned her lightsaber. We fought. We fought the gunships. You fought alone. She was with me. I sent 2 of my men to check on you when you did not join the march. They watched from below, hiding from the Balawi ships. They saw you, alone in the compound, your blades flashing against the blaster fire. My men say you drove them off single-handed, though they did not seem to be damaged. Perhaps you have taught Balawi to fear the Jedi blade. He showed Mace his sharp-filled teeth. Nick Rostu spoke much of your victory of the pass. Victory at the pass. Even I might not be equal to such a feat. She was with me. Mace stared at the traces of Portak amber that stained his palms. We fought or we spoke. I can't seem to remember. It is Pelicotin, you recall. The Force? You're saying it was some kind of Force vision? Pelicotin brings us waking dreams of our desires and our fears. Vaster's tone was grave, but not unkind. When we desire what we fear and fear what we desire, Pelicotin always answers, have the Jedi forgotten this? It seemed so real. It seemed more real than you do. Vaster shrugged. It was. Only Pelicotin is real. Everything else is forms and shadows, less even than a cloud or a memory. We are Pelicotin's dream. Have the Jedi forgotten this as well? Mace didn't answer. He had only then become aware of the balanced weight of his vest. He put a hand to his right side ribs and felt through the stained panther leather, the outline of his lightsaber matching his own, which he wore on his left. Deppa's lightsaber. And if what he'd seen in the compound had been a vision in the Force, what then? Did it change the truth he'd seen? Did it change the truth she'd seen in him? From the Force, those truths become more real, not less. A dream, he heard himself murmur. A dream. Vaster gestured for him to mount up. Dream she may be, but refuse her summons, and you will learn how swiftly dreams turn to nightmare. Mace climbed into the saddle without telling the Lord Pellic that he already knew. Some obscure impulse prompted him to ask, and you, Carvaster, what visions does Pelicotin bring to you? His response was a limitless stare, inhuman, as full of unguessable danger as the jungle itself. Why should Pelicotin show me anything? I have no fears, and no desires. But he had already turned to lead the grasser away, and he gave no sign that he had heard. What's it called? A Pelicotin. Is that like the Karuna or the Balawi term for like Force visions? Pretty interesting. We've got another part of his journal. Carvaster led my grasser on foot. He was able to find a path through the densest, most tangled undergrowth so effortlessly that he could move at a steady trot. After a time, I began to believe, as I now do, that his ability to move through the jungle was only half perception. The other half was raw power. Not only could he sense a path where none could be seen, I believe he could at need make a path where none had existed. Or perhaps make is the wrong word. I never saw this power in action. I never saw trees move, nor knots of vines unbind themselves. Instead, I felt a continuous current in the force, a rolling cycle like the breath of some vast creature alone in the dark. Power flowed into him and out again, but I did not feel him use it any more than I feel my muscles use the sugars that feed them. And that is exactly how it seemed, that we were carried through the jungle effortlessly, like corpuscles in its veins, or thoughts in its infinite mind, as though we were Pelicon's dream. In that ride from the rear to the front of the guerrillas' line of march, I got my first view of the fabled upland Liberation Front, the ULF, terror of the jungle, mortal enemy of the militia, ruthless, unstoppable warriors that had driven the confederacy of independent systems off this planet. They were barely alive. Their march was a ragged column of walking wounded, tracking each other through the jungle by splashes of blood and rich stink of infection. I would learn later, during the days of hellish march, that this latest operation had been a series of raids on jungle prospector outposts. They were out here not to kill Bulawi, but to capture medpacks, food, clothing, weapons, ammunition, supplies that our republic cannot or will not provide for them. Howdy to anyone coming in the chat. If you want to follow along, we're on chapter 9, page 188. 189, sorry. They were heading for their base in the mountains, where they had gathered nearly all that was left of the Karun people, all their elders and their invalids, their children, and what was left of their herds. Living in confined, crowded space was unnatural for Karunai. They had no experience with such conditions, and it swiftly took its toll. Diseases unknown in the civilized galaxy ravaged their numbers in the months since Deppa's arrival. Dysentery and pneumonia had killed more Karunai than had the militia's gunships. These gunships circled like vultures over the jungle. The trees constantly hummed with the sounds of heavy repulsor lifts and turbofans. The hums rose to roars and fell to incestile buzzing, mingled to swarms and split to individual. Tongue twister. Mingled to swarms and split to individuals that curved through the invisible sky. Now and again flame poured into the jungle from above, bringing harsh orange light to the gloom under the canopy, casting black shadows among the green. I don't think they were actually expecting to hit anyone. They harassed us constantly, often firing down at random through the jungle canopy, or sweeping overhead to set vast swathes afire with their sunfire flame projectors. To return fire would only fix our position for their gunners, and so all we could do was scurry along below the canopy and hope that we would not be seen. The guerrillas barely seemed to notice. They slogged along, those who could walk, with heads down, as though they had already accepted that sooner or later one of those carpets of flame would fall upon them all. Corrin to the bone, they never uttered a word of complaint, and nearly all could draw strength from the force, from Pelicotin, to keep them on their feet. Those who could not walk were bundled like baggage upon the backs of their grassers. Most of the animals now bore nothing but wounded. The supplies and equipment looted from the Bulawi rode crude but sturdy travois that the grassers dragged behind them. On this march, too, the ULF would endure a new tactic from the militia. They had begun night raids. They didn't appear to have any hope of actually catching us. That wasn't the point. Instead, the gunships flew high overhead and fired laser cannons down at random. Just harassment, to spoil our rest, keeping us awake and jumpy. Wounded men and women need sleep to heal. None of them would get it. Every dawn, a few more would lie still and cold on their bedrolls when the rest of us arose. Every day, a few more would stumble, blind with exhaustion, and stagger away from the line of march to lose themselves among the trees, usually permanently. There are many large predators of Huruncal, half a dozen distinct species of vine cats, two smaller variants of ack dogs, as well as the giant savage ack wolves, and many opportunistic scavengers such as the jacuna, a flightless avian creature that travels in bands of up to several dozen monkey lizard-sized birds, which are equally adept at climbing, springing from branch to branch, or running on flat ground, and are not at all picky about whether what they eat is actually dead. And most of the large predators of Karun Kal are intelligent enough to remember the good feeding to be had in the wake of a column of wounded Karunai, which is why stragglers rarely caught up with us again. We were, as Nick would say, a walking all-you-can-eat buffet line. This is also why the ULF didn't have to post much of a guard on the prisoners. Cool, get in there. Let's see, what time are we on? I can read for a little bit longer. Cheers for being here, folks. Where did I get to? Oh, there we go. There were 28 all told, 24 jungle prospectors, and the 4 surviving children. The Jups were left to stagger along, supporting each other as best they could, dragging those who could not walk on smaller versions of the travois hauled by the grassers. They were watched by only a pair of Vaster Act guards and 6 of their fierce Act dogs, as Vaster led Mace past. He explained that the guards and dogs were there only to make sure the Balawi did not steal weapons or supplies from wounded Karunai, or otherwise attack their captors. The guards didn't need blasters. Any prisoners who wished to escape into the jungle was welcome to. That is, after all, what was going to happen to them anyway. Stripped of everything but their clothing and boots, they would be turned loose in the jungle, left to make their way to whatever safety they might be able to find. Tan Peltrockle, Jungle Justice. Mace leaned alongside the grasser's neck to speak softly for Vaster's ear alone. How do you know they won't double back along the line of march? Some of your wounded are barely walking. These Balawi might think it worth the risk to steal weapons or supplies. Vaster gave a grin like a mouthful of needles. Can you not feel them? They are in the jungle, not of the jungle. They cannot surprise us. Then why are they still here? It's light, Vaster rumbled, with a wave of his wrist at the green-lit leaves above. The day belongs to the gunships. We give prisoners Tan Peltrockle after sunset. In the dark, Mace murmured. Yes, the night belongs to us. Mace remembered the recording of Deppa's whisper. I use the night, and the night uses me. It gave his chest a heavy ache. His breath came hard and slow. Nick was down with the prisoners, leading by the reins of mangy, underfed grasser. Let me read that again. Nick was down with the prisoners, leading by the reins of a mangy, underfed grasser. This grasser had another dual saddle set up, like the one that had been blown to bits on Nick's grasser's back, grasser back in the Notch Pass. Each saddle was big enough to hold 2 children. Arno and Nickel rode in the upper forward-facing saddle, gripping the heavy pelt of the grasser's ruff. Peering out from below its ears, Keela and Pell rode in the lower saddle, facing the rear and clinging to each other in mute despair. Seeing those 4 children reminded the Jedi Master of the child who was not there, and he had to look away from Carvaster. In his head, he saw the Lord Pellic holding the corpse of the boy. He saw the gleam of the shield through the wet streaked sheen of Terrell blood. He could not meet Vaster's eyes without hating him, and the children too. The words seemed to swell up Macy's throat and push themselves out at the other man. You give them to the jungle. Well, that was a question. You give them to the jungle? It is our way. Vaster's growl softened with understanding. You are thinking of the boy, the one in the bunker. Mace still could not meet his eyes. He was captured, disarmed. He was a murderer, not a soldier. He attacked the helpless. So did you. Yes, and if I am taken by the enemy, I will get worse than I gave. Do you think the Bulawae will offer me a clean, quick death? We're not talking about them, Mace said. We're talking about you. Vaster only shrugged. Nick caught sight of them and gave a sardonic wave. I'm not really a babysitter, he called. I just play one on the HoloNet. His tone was cheerful, but on his face the Jedi Master could read the clear knowledge of what had happened to these children at sunset. What would happen to these children at sunset. Mace's own face hurt. He touched his forehead and discovered there a scowl. What's he doing here? Vaster stared past Nick, as though to look upon him would be a compliment the young Karoon did not deserve. He cannot be trusted with real work. Because he left me behind to save his friends. Chalk and Besh are veteran fighters. Aren't they worth the effort? They are expendable, as is he. Not to me, Mace told him. No one is. The Lord Pellic seemed to consider this for a long time, as he walked on, leading Mace's grasser. I do not know why Depa wanted you here, he said at length, but I do not have to know. She desires your presence. That is enough. Because you are important to her, you are important to our war. Much more important than a bad soldier like Nick Ross do. He's hardly a bad soldier. He is weak, cowardly, afraid of sacrifice. Risking his mission, his life, for his friends might make Nick a bad soldier, Mace said, but it makes him a good man. And because he somehow could not resist, he added, better than you. Vaster looked up at the Jedi Master with jungle-filled eyes. Better at what? Right, folks, we have reached another part of Mace's journal. There's about 3 pages left, but I do need to kind of shoot off now. So I will put the bookmark in there, and then next time we'll read for a little bit longer. But we're going on. That's our that's where we've got to. We're pretty much halfway through the book, which is cool. Let's see. Chapter 10 is called A Jedi's Word. So I'm hoping we actually get to her name, Depa Beliba, in the next chapter. I've been really looking forward to getting that interaction. So I'm hopefully you're all enjoying the book so far. It's definitely picking up as we go along. Again, I really enjoy Matthew Stover's writing style. He's really descriptive. Hey, Dan Blackroyd's still here. We understand it's a busy life being a Disney Plus subscriber. Yeah, like most of my days spent like trying to hide the fact and come up with excuses. Like my bairns need it to watch Simpsons. So, and the other excuse is that I'm borrowing my brother's account, which was the truth. Currently is the truth. So, thanks, Laura. Thanks for still being here. It's awesome that you guys were listening in. But it is just after midnight here, and Mrs. Scran won't be happy. So I shall shoot off, and it was the truth. But yeah, you've exposed it. Full blown Disney Plus sub, and I recommend that all of you do the same and ignore all of this fan fiction. All you need is all you need is Terry Brooks's book called The Phantom Menace, which George Lucas adapted into a movie, and that is the Star Wars saga. Actually, one last thing, I'll find it. If that one, we'll do it for a comparison. Soon there will be an EBN level exposure of Scran. Yeah, hopefully that day doesn't come. So if this is too difficult for you, you've got the junior novel, which is pretty cool. Which we know reading's hard, so there's some pictures for you. Don't try to pay Watto with Republic credits. Republic credits no good out here. Only money. I had 2 copies of this. Pretty sure I ripped some of the pictures out of the other one. So you've got Star Wars the novel, the junior novel, and you've got the Phantom Menace visual dictionary. Credits will do fine. So there's like, here, I don't want to spoil the gag. I've got a video I'm making about that. So yeah, theory could use the visual dictionary to learn a little bit about the history of Star Wars. The only Star Wars. We'll keep reiterating this. This is Star Wars. I've got the VHS over there somewhere as well. You know, the one that's got like the gold. It's like a gold box. That was the scrapbook. There's quite a lot of Star Wars Expanded Universe material. What else we got? We've got another one for theory. I think I already lent that one to him. That one teaches you how to make a lightsaber for theory. Wait, did I already show that on one of the streams? There you go, theory sabers. That's how you make them. And those are older comics. There's the Phantom Menace comic books, adaptations. And OG, if you're still in the chat, I've lost the cover to this one, but it's from these old official, like, I think these are British magazines. But on the back of it, there you go. The only authorized continuation of the Star Wars saga. You can get them on tape as well, because it's hard to read, you know. George made many things based on his saga of Phantom Menace. The one and only. I think I'm all Phantom Menaced out. Right, there we go. Very nice. Right, I will stop taking up your time, okay? I will speak to you all later. As always, long live the Simpsons Expanded Universe, and lang may your limbs reek. Take care, guys.